additions to my list.
Through the trials and tribulations of one of the most daunting years the world and Apex Esports has ever faced, we culminated in a live arena in PNC at North Carolina with one of the most epic championships I think fans will ever remember. And I got to tell you, we're hitting restart, and it's only getting better because we have North America kicking off year 3. That's right. Everything that happened in year 2, we're raising the stakes. And whether it be metas gone from past to be reawoken, will we see new metas and plays arise that shock us and send us into Apex Legends bliss? And will we see the underdogs finally take the top spot from the teams that have been holding on to the crown for so long since July? All of that to find out right now. I'm your host, Rain Day, and to bring it along with me and kick off this year 3 for North America, I've got two of the best of the business, two of my close friends, Fallout and Vicky Kitty. Fallout, year 3 is here. North America, let's go.
Yes, sir. Rain Day, we are back. Dark Zero now enters North America Pro League. That, of course, is the story of the day for me. We'll give them hype. And so many more storylines. Can TSM return to their dominance? Will NRG continue to absolutely dominate the competition? Again, so many teams, so much competition. You guess what? We get to see all 3 of them today in Group A versus B. It's going to be an awesome day. Vicky, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I can't believe it. Time flies truly when you're having fun, but I've been looking forward to year 3 for so long, and now we're finally here. And with some changes too, I'm excited to get started for day number 1.
So am I, and let's get to the housekeeping done first so everyone knows how this tournament, how this program of ALGS Esports is run. Essentially, we're going to have a bunch of qualifiers. This is the first one today. We'll have more over the next 10 weeks of Apex Legends competitive. That will allow us to reach a regional finals where, at that moment, we will qualify the winner of that and the next 9 teams to our playoffs sometime at the end of winter. The bottom 10 teams of that 20-team group will still stay in Pro League, so it's important to get there and perform every single week. But the teams who weren't in that top 10 or that top 20 and reach the bottom 8 of the qualifiers here, the last of the 30 teams of our 3 groups, they will have to fight for a spot to get back into Pro League. It all makes everything worth it, though, if you end up on top. Even the risks are much more heavily rewarded, and that leads to how much money is on the line. $5 million over the course of the year, $1 million over the course of this first split, and $20,000 for our qualifying winner heading into playoffs, proceeding all the way down to $2,000 each for 16th to 20th place. That means everybody's getting a little bit of something, and that's always a good sign when you're competing as hard as these players are and putting in this much time. But let's head to who is competing. Let's check out all the teams in North America because it was a lot to get here. Everyone in our teams are broadcast before this, helping to showcase the qualifiers. Well, this is who has made it. Welcome to the Pro League, and John, I want to get your thoughts first. Eyes on the prize, eyes on so many of these guys. Who catches Fallout's eye when you're looking at all of the teams here who will be participating over this next year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a star-studded lineup. Every major top-tier org in Apex Legends is on display here. Of course, with the entry of FaZe Clan to Apex, that is now true. Dark Zero, NRG, Team Liquid, CLG, Furia, TSM, G2, Space Station, 100 Thieves, Optic Gaming, you name it is the who's who of esports. And we get to see every single top org, top team on display. In addition to some of the rookies, some of the teams that have a lot to prove. Tripods and Nick Merckx enter the Apex Legends Global Series. Esports Arena has been looking solid, so I'm excited for all of the competition. Obviously the top tier brands and logos, but also the teams with so much to prove, Vicky.
Yeah, I'm so glad you basically named everything that I was going to name right here. I mean, FaZe and Apex Legends, baby, let's go. And they're in the same group as Optic Gaming. I swear, I cannot write this script. It just writes itself. But, you know, we got Group A versus B first to get through here, and it's going to be a very stacked lineup. We got Dark Zero here. We got Furia, TSM, NRG. It's going to be a good time. If you guys could see Group A versus B, I mean, Randy, I want to get your thoughts here. What are your thoughts looking at the teams that we have competing today?
Thanks for giving us a little preview, Vicky. I'll toss it to Fallout after this, but my eyes are on NRG and Liquid. They had a roster swap here, and maybe it wasn't for one team's benefit, and it maybe wasn't for what one team wanted. A little bit of drama behind the scenes of that. Gilderson's now joining NRG, and they have looked on fire ever since that moment, John, but I'm sure you've got your eyes on a couple other teams in this lobby as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said that took the words exactly out of my mouth. NRG is the team we got to talk about right now. I mean, they have been so dominant ever since the massive blockbuster roster move in picking up Gildersons, arguably the best controller player in the world. Obviously, Jen Burton would have something to say with that. They've been unstoppable. They can barely be touched. They showed a little bit of weakness, Vicky, in the Boom TV tournament we've been casting. But outside of that, Oversight playoffs, first place by a mile. Oversight Pro League, first place by a mile. They were dominating in league play for Oversight. And now heading into ALGS, all eyes on them as they have been untouchable, Randy.
That's so true. All right, well, it wouldn't be an ALGS preview of our teams if we didn't highlight a few that are ours to watch. So let's kick it off with our first team to highlight here. Fallout, who you got?
Yeah, it's Dark Zero. We'd be absolutely remiss to not mention this team first and foremost. The back-to-back champs. They did it with JMW in a substitute in Split 2 playoffs in Sweden, and they finally got that win with Jen Burton right after. They have the opportunity of a lifetime to be the second dynasty that we have seen in Apex Legends. The first, of course, being TSM, winning 5 straight tournaments. If Dark Zero can come to North America and steal the Split 1 playoff win from the American team's noses, they, coming from Australia, made the move to Austin. Dark Zero as an org has been supporting them true in and true out. This was the winning moment. This is the moment where history was made. They went back to back. Jen Burton won his first championship. The controller demon himself, Sharky, Zero, Jen Burton are absolutely the team to watch. And this pop-off was insane, Vicky.
I love that energy, and I also love the energy that Furia bring into the competitive Apex space. Zero Tricky Panders, and of course, we can never forget his Watson, one of the louder players on the team that I always get to enjoy. And I know he made a little sound bite of me, you know, cheering them on because they got second at the champs in LAN. His Watson also has been recently playing a lot of Catalyst due to the ALGS client, though being on the prior patch, we won't be able to see what he's got up his sleeve because this player also is the reason why I've been seeing so much Seer in the meta, and I'm excited to see how he's going to be able to frag out in year 3 of the Pro League.
Now, let me tell you what, those are two amazing picks, but I can't help but close it out on a team that has been at the top of North America's hype charts since they were announced back in the beginning of Apex Legends Esports, and they have toiled with their lineup to get the perfect trio, and they had to do it again this offseason. They took Gildersons away from Liquid, Nocturnal, and the Squad Fun. We're a little surprised at it. It happened so quick, but you know what else happened quick? Their synergy. They picked it up almost immediately as a trio to be recognized as a top threat, and they have proved it again and again and again. Will this be the season that NRG finally claimed the top spot? I'm excited, but guess what? You know who doesn't think so? This is TSM. That's right. This is what they tweeted earlier on. The path to victory is the same for every team. We just know how to walk it. See you in the ALGS. Been there, done that. Love the confidence. I love the trash talk. Let's get to the maps as well. Just so you know, we're starting off on Storm Point. If you're around for our EMEA broadcast, we'll hit 3 games there. Finish the day off after a quick little halftime on to World's Edge. And now it's time to bring Vicky and Fallout back to kind of talk storylines here. I mentioned NRG, but John, let's kick it off, man. There's too many things to talk about. You're going to mention a few in your cast, of course, which we'll be paying attention to. But right now, top of the show, give me another team. Give me another story that people should be paying attention to over the course of today.
Yeah, well, for me, there's kind of 4 categories, right? 4 tiers. There's the teams to watch you got to keep an eye out for. I throw Complexity in that list as well. They got second place in the Oversight playoffs, playing with Luxford. It's kind of the recipe that everyone's copying now. Find a ranked controller demon and add them as your third. Team Liquid was the first one to do it by picking up Gildersons, and then, of course, Sykes right after. But Complexity you got to keep an eye out for. But that's the teams to watch category. We talked about NRG, TSM, Complexity, etc. There's one tier below that, kind of the dark horse high tier. In my eyes, CLG and Cloud9 picking up Rocker from NRG fit into that list. Below that, you got the lot to prove tier. You got teams like Tripods, MPL with Madness playing alongside Pow Pow and Luda, formerly of Tripods. You got teams like BR Demons. Reeds won the championship at TwitchCon with Hal and Sweet, looking like he has a lot to prove as well. But then you got the rookies. 2 rookie teams to keep an eye out for. Team Smiley and Bots. Bots consisting of Stomps, who's been here before, playing with Jalone and JQ from New York, the college baseball player, by the way. I'm excited to see what they can do alongside Team Smiley, which is Gambit, Songlion, and Blakeu. Excited to see what the rookies can do as well.
Yeah, Vicky, I want to toss that over to you also. I mean, John, you might as well have information on what they ate for breakfast this morning. This man's so detailed on what he's looking at. But Vicky, what do you think? I mean, at the end of the day, what do you think is going on? We haven't mentioned TSM as much as maybe previous starts of seasons as we have. Is there a reason for that? Do they have something to prove here?
They absolutely do. I feel like they're always the main topic of conversation when it comes to looking at the results and what is to come. I mean, I was able to see what Raven was tweeting out before, the coach for TSM, wondering if we're still going to stick to the Fuse. Are we going to see the Seer? I mean, I think he lost a 1v1, so I don't think the Fuse is going to come out. I think the Fuse may be put away in a drawer just for right now. I know Hal had some reserve thoughts on that. Yeah, I do too. I mean, but everything has to be solved in a 1v1. There's nothing that cannot be solved if it isn't without a 1v1. Let's be honest here.
I want to jump in here too and get your thoughts on the coach, Raven, coming in for TSM, John. This is one of the biggest things people criticized Hal for and TSM, communication. Whether you like it or love it or just find it entertaining, they got aggressive within their comms, sometimes didn't say the best things to each other. Raven has kind of acted as that arbiter for those conversations to move a lot more smoothly. Do you think that's going to be a big difference today for them?
Absolutely. You know, it's so funny. I mean, Hal, I think you were there, Randy, at some point in the conversation, but Hal Sweet and I had like an hour-and-a-half long debate at the hotel lobby, the hotel bar in Sweden about the importance of a coach. And I was telling these guys, you need a coach. Why not? It's free intel. Someone can do the prep work for you so you can focus on streaming and playing. And they're like, no, we don't really need one. We're good. We're the IGLs. We're the coach. We're the brains of the team. Finally, they caved. Raven gets signed. NRG picks up a great coach as well. And both of these teams now have the additional firepower that they need to bring that analytical approach to finding success. I think it was a great pickup, Raven, for TSM. I completely agree right there.
And Vicky, I wanted to lead to you a team that we haven't talked about. We need to give them their flowers. It's Furia. They took second place at the championships. Yes, they weren't Dark Zero, but they had more points than anyone else who participated in that huge event. So they could perform on LAN, they could perform online, and they've changed the meta more than any singular team that we've seen in the past year of Apex Legends. So talk about them today and what their expectations are going forward.
I mean, the confidence that radiates from this team is for all the right reasons, because the one thing when we do talk about Furia is that they have no issue securing KP when they need it. Now, it's about the timing of when they decide to secure the KP that has managed to bite them in the behind for some of the end game fights when it comes to the final circle positioning. And I just want to also highlight, when it comes to the coach topic too, I love how we had that conversation with Hodsick in the back, just nodding his head like, yeah, absolutely. Coaches are very important. You know, we talk about Team Liquid and what they've got to bring to the table too, aside from the likes of Furia and TSM.
Can this Liquid, obviously losing Gildersons, can they bounce back and they find the synergy that they were having beforehand? Such a consistent performing team. I want to give a quick shout out though, because we're setting up so many storylines. You're like, how are we going to follow this in game, guys? Well, guess what? We've got a feature called Multiview that's got your back. Don't you worry. You can check out through our command center any POV you want. That means every final rotation, every team fight, every 1v1, every clutch moment is yours to keep an eye on. That's right. You don't have to miss a thing. And you can hear the team comms going on as well with these POVs. A special addition to your Apex Legends Saturdays, Sundays, or Thursdays, whenever these broadcasts are going on. And we are so excited to have this feature for you back for year 3. Make sure to check it out in the command center and tell us which POV you're enjoying the most. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. It is year 3. We are kicking off the ALGS in North America. My name is Randy. I am so hyped. I hope you are as well. We're taking a quick break, and when we come back, game 1 is here. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with day number 1 of year 3 of the ALGS. It's a special moment. We've had people have birthdays on this moment, giving shout outs as well, and everyone interacting on Twitter, on Twitch, on YouTube. We are so happy you are here. You are the community. And when our land comes around, you're going to see it. You're going to feel it. It's one of those special moments that people like myself and, of course, Vicky, Kitty, and Fallout remember so fondly and are eagerly awaiting for this season. But you got to get there first. That's the key, guys. And I think, John, let's bring it over to a team that has gotten here for the first time, to be able to bring them on Pro League. It's somebody you might know, a really good friend of mine. You may have heard of him, Nick Merckx. I'm not sure. But yeah, so talk to us about Tripods, their debut here, and what that means, and just what you're looking at for their team. What's a good day look like for them?
The biggest damn shout out to my boy Nick Merckx. Against all odds, everyone's saying he's not going to do it. He can't go Predator on his own without getting carried by pros. He's not going to be able to make it to Pro League on his own. He did it. Messed up. Screw all the haters. Big shout out to Tripods, my boy Nick. I got a lot of love for him, man.
Yeah,
I've been hanging, competing alongside or against Nick for 15, going on 20 years since the MLG days back in 2007, 2008. He did it in 3 or 4 titles before Apex Legends. He did it again in Apex. And look, regardless of where Tripods kind of stands in the tiering of top teams right now, you got to give kudos and credit where credit's due. Tripods entering and making it to the Apex Legends Global Series Pro League by grinding their way through Challenger Circuit last season was damn impressive. I'm excited to see what Nick, Deeds, and Gent, great pickup in Gent, obviously coming from G2. Excited to see what they can do. They got a lot of work to do. They still got a hell of a journey ahead of them, but they're here. They're going to be competing today. It's going to be fun to watch him versus Imperial Hal with all the online Twitter trash talk that they have between the two of each other.
Vic, you take that real. I mean, what do you feel about the Twitter beef here? Is anyone getting too spicy? Do you feel like there's some hurt feelings? It's all fun and games here, getting ready to be competitors.
This is a competition at the end of the day. I mean, is it really a competition if there aren't some BM going on online? Come on. And that's what I love about Apex Legends. I like to keep that energy. Well, you know what? You got to keep it in game, but when we're in LAN, you can't run away. You right next to me. If you tactical crouch my death box, you're right next door. We're going to have a talk after this during the break. That's how that works sometimes, right? But I just want to follow up from the Tripods conversation, because what Fallout said is so true. Nick Merckx having to not only prove all the naysayers wrong, but it's also interesting to see how Tripods as a whole, as a squad, have been experimenting in the offseason, specifically Nick Merckx with the Watson. So I'm expecting the double taser composition. How is that going to work out in NA after what we've already seen in APAC and EMEA?
Yeah, we're seeing so much Watson. I mean, this is a storyline that we saw in EMEA. We also have to bring this in because this is a new broadcast. You might not have caught EMEA. We saw the likes of Lifeline, Element 6, Case Swinney running Lifeline with this approach and using Liffin, who had a great premier showcase there alongside Slayers, to be able to really take second place in this if it only wasn't for KCP having that amazing performance as well that just topped them. John, let's talk about meta changes. I mean, will we see the same thing in North America? Are you expecting a little bit more conservative choices out the gate for them?
I don't know if it's a matter of who's got the guts or the willingness to take risks, but North America seems to be a lot more copy pasta. Let's just copy and paste what's working. And obviously, Fury was making something work with Seer and Horizon last season, and everyone's running that. So I think we're going to see so much cookie cutters, Seer, Horizon, Valkyrie on World's Edge, unfortunately. But I do hope we see some differences in team comps. I think we'll see that. 100 Thieves, you had the guts to do something a little different. They ran the heavy Newcastle and Watson team comps. So you'll see some teams also copy that. I don't think we're going to see anything as crazy as a Lifeline, though, unfortunately. I hope we do. I hope we see some Rampart, some Lifeline, maybe some Bangalore get thrown in the mix, but something tells me we'll see a lot of rinse and repeat.
Vicky, what are you thinking about the meta today?
When it comes to the meta, I do feel like North America does do something where it's more like copying your homework and trying to work out what they feel like is more comfortable. I do really like the mix of compositions like we did see from Fury, obviously, with this year. Again, no Catalyst. We're not playing on that patch this time around. So even though we've been seeing his Watson utilize the Catalyst a lot on their own respective stream, that's not going to be the case here. So we're probably going to still see the Seer coming out. I'm expecting that to kind of be the more comfortable pick for a lot of these teams. But I also am a big advocate for seeing the Rampart randomly come out. The Demon Rampart, like we've seen with the Horizon Gravity Lift into the Sheila. Come on, I'm a big fan of the D-Dolphin comp, as I've always seen it.
Well, Vicky, you love Caustic and you love Chaos, 2 Cs that just blend so well with your personality. And so the Rampart makes complete sense there. I cannot wait to see this in action, and all those predictions, all that conversation, so great. And a friendly reminder, yes, we are on the previous patch from now until November 20th, where then we will be taking into Catalyst and Season 15. That is a major thing to remember, because these teams are actually going to have to be practicing a little bit of Season 15 to be ready for the Switch, while also remembering and going back to all of the things that they've learned from Season 14, but I don't think that should be a problem. I mean, they're the best in the world. That's why we're here talking about them. So without further ado, you know what that means. It is Game 1, NA, Year 3. Let's get hype in the chat. John, Vicky, do us justice and begin the year.
Thank you so much, my boy Rain Day. Ladies and gentlemen in the chat, blow it up right now. Let us know which team you want to come out on top. We still got some TSM fans out there holding it down for the black and white, or do we have Team NRG fans who have been absolutely dominating? Dark Zero coming from down under. And of course, there's always Team Liquid, Tripods, Complexity, Furia. I mean, it is an absolute star-studded lobby right now. Oh, by the way, there's also Cloud9 and CLG that'll be competing today. It's going to be insane. This lobby is absolutely stacked, and guess what? We're kicking things off on Storm Point right away. Vicky, talk to me. What do you think we're going to expect here in Game 1?
I mean, we've been seeing, at least in scrims, a lot of contention on Storm Point, surprisingly. I believe we've been seeing G2 versus BR Demons, which has been getting pretty heated in scrims last night. And with BR Demons, I believe, taking it over G2. So G2 being another squad that has been trying to find their footing with a new pickup themselves. You know, just Gent leaving the roster and Chaotic Much getting picked up. I believe this team has been trying to find their footing altogether. But there's a lot of other changes throughout this NA lobby, Fallout, and I'm excited to see how it's going to work out for game number 1. Let's waste no time. Look at these drop spots.
Yeah, that's right. And then you take a look here. A couple changes from last season. First off, we got a contention. Lightning Rod, Prodigy Aces versus G2. G2 still dropping Lightning Rod, but Prodigy Aces saying, we want to contest here. TSM no longer dropping Antenna. They're dropping over towards the wall. And it's going to be a center zone here. Let's jump right into the action as we find ourselves an early fight. Oh my gosh. Furia plus Prodigy Aces as their third. Looks like his Watson is going to be actually subbed out today. Not able to compete. Not sure exactly why. I know he was moving recently, but Prodigy Aces as their third, off to a good start, and they're going to be teabagging off the rip against G2, saying, hey, Lightning Rod is ours.
It's a respect, it's a tactical crouch, all right? Follow the Furia doing what they always do best, except they don't care even if it is on land. And what's nice to note, by the way, is there's a lot of early fighting already off the rip. I mean, everyone just got situated, everyone is just looting, but it looks like we are not slowing down for game number 1 here in NA, and I love already what we're seeing here. Furia already coming out with some great loot. You see the G7 in the hands of Zera as well as the EVA 8. So with some of our squads now just trying to figure out where they want to rotate, where this next circle is going to be pulling. It's nice to note that E8 actually is on the other side of Furia.
Yeah, E8 might be trying to stay sneaky. And 3-2-1ing, yes they do. The early damage is going to be done. They're going to get a knock as well. Elevate says, hey, let's start things off strong with a huge push over Furia. They get a knock, and they will pick up this kill here in just a moment. A sneaky, sneaky play from Elevate. And keep in mind, these are strategies that have been rehearsed. Every team knows where other teams drop. E8 had this strategy as a trick in the bag, and they were waiting to pull out for Pro League, and Furia was not expecting it. I love the play and the confidence from E8 to do it against one of the best teams in Furia.
Oh my goodness, and I love seeing this from this team too, because just as we moved away from some of the other Apex Legends tournaments happening off season, Elevate had just recently gotten 6 at the Rewire Fest, and they were playing really well. Yes, they played out of the money, yes, they placed out of the money rather, but they still were able to bring in a lot of the momentum of what they've learned into the Pro League where it matters. And kind of forcing Furia already out of their own landing spot and playing at a disadvantage off the rip is definitely not in Furia's books, and they are zooming away. They want no business in that. They're gonna have to just reset when they can.
Yeah, so Pandas gets taken out. Furia will be a team of 2, and they're not going to be able to grab banners either. So nice job by E8, damaging Furia quite a bit. Complexity find themselves on a rotate through Jurassic Park. But as things slow down here for a second, it's not just these 50-50s, the teabagging you saw. I know you guys see that in ranked every single day. There's a lot more at stake here and a lot more to talk about. Furia versus G2 at Lightning Rod. They are intentionally inting and getting aggressive and teabagging because it's a battle for real estate. It's early on in Pro League where teams are trying to secure secure and claim their drop spots. Well, guess what? Not everyone's going to bend over and say, take it, this is your drop spot at Lightning Rod. They're going to try and fight for it. So expect that G2 versus Furia fight to persist game over game. I don't think G2, especially knowing Designful and the boys, are going to give it up that easily. And also the fact that Elevate took that fight on Furia is going to now be angry and expect them to int against Elevate if they win the fight against G2 as well. So that's going to be a story that we're going to see for the first 3 games here. Elevate, Furia, and G2 at the top right or northeast of the map in Lightning Rod for some contention.
Hey, Follow, you may have to just carry that energy into World's Edge. I mean, if you're going to grief us on Storm Point, then expect some griefing back when it comes to World's Edge. I mean, nobody gets to respect what's going on here when it comes to some of these drop POIs. Nice to note here, too, that with ESA in this lobby, Esports Arena, a name that we're so familiar with, they are going to be landing in Down Beast, and they are joined with Capra, who we didn't get to see in the Rewired Fest as well. So as we take a look at Complexity and their plan right now, they are running the Taser composition between the Newcastle and the Watson, so you could already see them bunkering down after they got the information of where this beacon is for the next circle. So it looks like we are going to have a barometer circle, and it actually may be a very similar circle to what we got to witness back in the EMEA region, kind of pulling a little bit towards the northwest side of barometer.
Yeah, and just a couple of kind of notes on Complexity. Obviously, we're used to seeing Complexity originally with Reptar, and then they played with, Snipe Down for a little bit in qualifiers, didn't find success. They picked up Luxford. Again, the recipe for success seems to be find a demon controller player. That's what Luxford is for them. He's kind of a rookie on the scene. Played for a couple of teams, a few notable ones, mostly like, low tier ALGS teams, but has always been kind of a rising star. Getting picked up by Complexity is massive. The question is, how will he perform? And there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. Can he help Complexity rise back to the heights that we saw them in as the best team in North America during the Bloodhound Season 5, Season 6 meta just about a year and a half, 2 years ago? We will see if Luxford is that it factor for them. So far, he's been looking good. They got second place in the Oversight playoffs. They got second or third place, I think it was, at the Rewired Festival. Complexity's been looking solid so far, but they got to take that energy into Pro League.
Love that pinpoint, too, because I got to see Complexity in person over there, and they're looking to try to continue this domination in the Pro League while Dark Zero's holding this interesting choke point. We've seen them hold this choke point before, but I like this decision because it's very similar to kind of determining whether you want to take these 50-50 rotations for where this next circle is going to be pulling, especially if you are giving up the opportunity to have Beacon in your control, which is something that Dark Zero is going to be doing. They're just going to be holding onto the choke point, looking at some of the skyward dives. Oh, and the immediate beam, too, from Zero. Obviously, they're not going to fully send it because this is the choke point that they want to hold, but it's a nice determination just to show that they mean business out here, whether it be from the G7 or the flatline.
Yeah, Dark Zero. I mentioned it in the pre-show, but for those that are just tuning in, first off, welcome to the ALGS Pro League NA kickoff, North America. And you might see Dark Zero and be like, what? North America? Aren't they an APAC South team? And that's right. They made the move to Austin, Texas, sponsored by Dark Zero. Big shout out to Dark Zero for making that happen. Living in the States now, living their American dream and trying to play in a pro league that's much more competitive than the APAC South region. Despite being in the APAC South, quote unquote, lesser competitive region, they still won the last 2 LAN championships. APAC South in Australia has been on top of the Apex world for the last 8 to 10 months, and Dark Zero is looking to keep it that way now that they're playing against the NA Pro League, Vicky.
Yeah, they've been playing so well. Now they have a huge lobby to deal with as well. Trying to see how they match this throughout the course of the Pro League here. Playing on the outskirts of where this circle is going to be. You can already note, by the way, that there are still so many teams taking up the real estate on the right side of Barometer. I do believe we have a Loba in the lobby too, so I'm wondering here how this is going to play out for Dark Zero just taking their time to loot before actually making their own appearance into Barometer.
That's right. Well, hey, we've talked a lot about Dark Zero. We've hyped them up quite a bit. Not a whole lot of action going on, but they are occupying quite a bit of land right now. Let's jump into a listen in and hear exactly what their comms are like, what the strategy is with the team nearby.
Got the blue light mag down there.
I got one.
I can use it.
I'm dropping 12 cells. And a stack of light for Sharky, I guess.
Light ammo here.
Yep.
Maybe drop Gen 20 and keep like that.
Fine.
I have 3 beds.
I'm just gonna fence a bit
Some
more.
better fences, so.
Yeah, I know. I was just like so focused on other shit. I'm just gonna,
I'm dropping 2 more cells.
gonna kind of like do a circle so people know we're here for the moment, but then I'll do.
Yeah, I'm like really low on ammo and shit. Is there heavy ammo down there?
Yeah.
Sharky? I might just grab that. Can someone watch the antenna side?
Yeah, I will in a second.
Extended light mag.
And I can grab that light mag too. Dub.
So I basically just called for that listening because I wanted to hear the Aussie accents. That's really, it just gets me excited hearing Australian accents in an NA broadcast, Vicky. But you heard one thing in particular, obviously a slower listening, but one thing in particular I want to talk about. It was Sharky on Watson who said, I'm just going to make a giant circle so people know we're here. That's an important concept, again, for aspiring Apex players. It's called being big. Sometimes in scenarios, you want the world to know where you are, and you basically want to say, don't mess with me. Don't you dare encroach in my territory. You want to claim a location. Sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes you want to be really small. You don't want people to know you're there, and you don't want to draw attention to yourself. In this situation, given Dark Zero wants to maintain map control and wants to hold that choke point, that ridge, they wanted to be as big as possible. They wanted to make their presence known. That's why you heard that there from Sharky.
Yeah, sometimes we see the sneaky plays like what Sentinel does in choke points where they just jump on a squad that's in the middle of the rotation, or you'd like to make a big appearance with the Seer ult, letting teams know if there's a fight going on, or that they will absolutely know if you're trying to rotate in their direction or trying to third party, which is why the Seer is also so important as we get to take a look at Esports Arena. They are going to be rotating away from Mill, which is nice to note because there is a squad on the outskirts, as you can see right now, as Esports Arena are going to try to ping them at the same time as the Skyward Dive is going to be unleashed. They're going to have to start moving to the next circle soon because, again, they do have a bit of ground to traverse if they aren't going to use the Skyward Dive themselves, and they are just going to walk it in. I mean, the circle is right there. They don't want to call too much attention to themselves. I also don't believe they're all going to get contested to the choke point to their left. That would lead away from the open area between Jurassic Park into that choke point.
That's right. ESA is a team that had a lot of hype coming into Pro League. They dominated the qualifier or challenger circuit tier of lobbies. A lot of people thought they would take the energy right into pro tiers of lobbies, but it's a level above. And to be honest, not to be too critical of this team, but they've struggled a bit at that pro tier. I think at the 17th or 18th finished place in the Oversight playoffs, we saw them not perform necessarily as well on the second day or the championship finals day of the Rewired LAN tournament. Obviously, they didn't play with Capra there. So ESA obviously has to get used to this pace, has to get used to this bubble of pro tier Apex Legends in North America, and they're gonna have to elevate their gameplay to follow. I think another team that's in a similar boat is Tripods. They dominated Challenger Circuit for a while, obviously playing with Luda back then, but you know, I was talking to Nick the other day and he said it's a whole different ball game. We have to pick a new drop spot, we have to pick a new play style, because in this tier of lobby, all that's already, you know, claimed. These drop spots are already claimed. It's tough to do. It's tough to really rank up from B tier to A tier, if you will, much like the major leagues to the minor leagues in baseball.
Especially with the way that all these teams are playing so differently. You see Dark Zero putting in extra pressure with the Arc Stars down below. You got the low ground. You're in a difficult situation as it's Furia that get caught in the middle of the rotation. It looks like you can see Jen being able to finish that off, as Jen is going to be able to also take care of Prodigy Aces. Dark Zero going to have now extra loot to work with from Furia. Thank you for delivering that on a silver platter. And they're going to be able to play on the outskirts of the circle without having too much fear to what's behind them, because they've been holding on to this choke point for so long, and you made note of it perfectly earlier, Fallout. They've made their presence known, and for teams that like to rotate through antenna like Cough Cough, TSM, they're going to be able to note that Dark Zero already situated there. There's probably a team already to that building south of Dark Zero that they keep pinging. I believe that is Elevate. So with other squads also playing on the outskirts of the circle, as Sharky is going to be able to find two breaks off of that, you can already see that Dark Zero have the positional advantage, not only from this high ground, but with their beamage as well.
That's right. I also love the way that Sharky's playing this, that Dark Zero's playing this. Sharky's basically responsible for making sure that no one pushes them from behind, and they have to do a really, really good job of just gatekeeping here and not letting anyone up this small, narrow strip of land. And Sharky's doing exactly that. That's why they have the G7 Scout in his name, but he's running low on ammo, only down to about 50 total bullets of light ammo with the G7 Scout. Gonna get refreshed a little bit, but a little bit of shambles right now. So that refresh that they got on Furia, when we say refresh, we basically mean refreshing your materials or your resources by getting a couple kills and loot boxes, was good. It helped them, but they need another refresh. If they're gonna make it to late game, they gotta find themselves some loot along the way. But Dark Zero right now is really, really well positioned in game number 1.
I just saw that Sweet did just get knocked right now, so Energy looking to be in some trouble themselves, wondering what's happening on the other side. You can see that TSM right now is actually in the middle of the rotate. They had called where they wanted to rotate behind where Antenna was through Jurassic Park rather than try to face Dark Zero head on, which is a very smart decision from TSM. But now in this next circle, they're a little bit out in the open. Sometimes making an early rotate to this position exactly could be very detrimental and could act as a double-edged sword, because there's a lot of opening spots that they could get shot off from both angles.
Yeah, it's always such an interesting spot to be. It feels safe. You have a lot of cover. You can rat, but you're so exposed to nades. No Watson on the hands of TSM means they're not going to have a chance to defer any nades with the pylon. So got to be careful here. It is TSM, not the best position, but not a bad position certainly as well, as they're going to have their head in a swivel, and they're surrounded 360 degrees by a few different teams here. So looking a little scary for TSM, but in an overall decent spot. Running that exact cookie cutter comp I told you about. It's Seer, Valkyrie, and Horizon. Expect most teams to run this comp, especially on World's Edge, in just a moment. And you mentioned in the pre-show, but for those that didn't hear or didn't understand, Raven, the coach of TSM's, really wanted them to run Fuse on World's Edge and said, Hal, if I beat you in a 1v1, you have to run Fuse. They 1v1'd and he lost, safe to say. So they will not be running Fuse, they'll be running Seer on World's Edge.
That's always a nice little tidbit to add. Things getting settled with 1v1s, as E8 are going to be on the other side of this building with TSM in their line of sight. So you can see them getting pressured. But they note with the Seer that there is a squad on the other side of this building with a charge rifle in hand, which is a very important weapon to have on Storm Point with so much open ground to work with, especially with the amount of Valkyries that we have in this lobby. So important when it comes to those Skyward Dive and adding in some of that extra pressure aside from just having the G7. But EA are just going to be hanging out on the outskirts. They're not in this next circle, but they will be moving soon in a minute and 20 seconds.
Couple of things I want to call out here. Teams alive, 15 squads remaining. I believe the Tripods still in this, as well as their former teammate in Luda on MLP still in it as well. So we'll keep a close eye on the Tripods. They're actually right next to Complexity and Dark Zero right now. That'd be an interesting listen-in or a opportunity to catch the action of those three teams on the outskirts. But right now it's E8 having a difficult rotation at hand as well. Really interested to see how they play this as well, Vicky.
And see what EA is going to do. What's their decision here? They have less than a minute now on the clock as TSM get Rakinishu as a knock. It's going to Rack's team now as TSM are just going to continue on with their domination on this side of the map without giving up too much of the space. You remember that Dark Zero is to their backs if they decide to reveal themselves. Purple's out in the open, pushing a little bit too far as Rack Attack finally get deleted, but was it worth it with Pearls being out in the open with another squad right across from them?
Love to see Hal back on keyboard and mouse. The day that man commits to controller is the day hell will freeze over, I think. As you see, reps long range, getting some shots in. It's going to be all up to the duo. Yeah, exactly. The final team of two for TSM as Verholst did get knocked, and that's what happens often with TSM. Verholst sometimes gets a little bit aggressive and finds himself in a bad position, ends up getting punished. And at the same time, my biggest criticism of TSM is let Verholst be Verholst. He had a chance to do exactly that with Kansas City Pioneers and Rewired and played so incredibly well, was the MVP of that tournament, hands down. But keeping a close eye on TSM here. It's going to be a very tough rotation, and they lost their Valkyrie, so they're gonna have to do it by foot. Difficult rotation incoming for TSM. We'll keep you updated on how they fare as E8 also forced to rotate parallel with TSM.
Look, I know we got multi-view for some comms in, but I would love to be a fly on the wall for those comms as Mercy gets pinged and almost deleted, managing to get into some safe cover. But like you mentioned before, Verholst acted as the IGL for KCP when he stood in as a substitute for that team that ended up winning the Rewired Fest. And sometimes Verholst just needs to pop off in his own regards as EA is going to be able to also delete Capra, the last remaining member of Esports Arena. Look who's coming in from their sixth, though. It's going to be TSM that knock out Mercy. They're taking too much circle damage at the same time, though. That's going to be Reps, that's going to be Hal, and that's going to be TSM falling in 11th with E8 meeting them in 10th place.
That's right, E8 out of this lobby, TSM as well. The Tripods were able to successfully make their rotate. You see them rocking Watson, so Nick is on Watson, avoiding the Fuse, or sorry, the Seer that he's usually used to playing. Gent on Seer, and Deeds on Valkyrie. Team Tripods in their debut of ALGS Pro League. Nick Merckx trying to show he can bang with the best of them. Against all odds, he's found a way to make it every single tier of Apex Legends so far. Can he make it to the top tier, though? That is the question. Let's jump into a listen-in with the Tripods.
We're doing all right, bro.
I'm trying
or
to see
if this fights, we can move up on this rock right here too.
I know, we just can't walk up right here, can we? There's no way.
No, we'll have to climb up and play like the side of the building, and then we walk up with the storm.
Yeah.
Okay.
You hear me?
Yeah, hurry.
I'm one bat right now, so I'm just saving.
It's
I don't
hard
have
to
any bats.
so we don't get fucked. I have one bat, one cell, and a Phoenix. You have a Phoenix, right?
Yeah, I have a Phoenix, yep.
Alright. If this building team next to us Valko, just let him go. Don't cancel it.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cancel. That's on me.
You're okay. We got a kill out of that, I think.
Nah, we didn't.
Oh, we didn't. Okay.
I have my serial too. I'm
just gonna hug you, G.
Look over me.
Look, just shoot.
I'm seeing what's open.
He's He's gonna peek you. He's gonna peek you. Have to reload.
I have cover. I have cover.
We have to move up. You want us to move up?
I think you move up. Yeah,
Team
move up.
right,
Me, move
Valko
up. Me.
team.
Yeah, move up. 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 Play on me. Play on me. You can have your gen, right? Put it right here.
The team on our left.
No, I don't have a gen. I don't have a gen. I don't have a gen.
All right.
I'm
Just
playing
stay
back
healthy
on
then.
Nick right now.
ADS start
Safe
back.
on me.
Hide on
They're still
barrels
in the building.
looking
They're
at
still in the
them.
building. Yeah, I'm ulting.
They got a knock on this team.
All right, look at our building. Look at our back in our building. They have to
Heard
fight
that.
and drop behind us.
You see
I'm gonna
my
rotate
skin.
with
See my skin.
I'm getting shot from
Wait,
my
wait,
left.
Wait. Just stay here.
Did
Stay
you
on
have
me. Stay on me. Yeah, I'm dropping the
Looking
cell.
at
That's all I
you,
got.
looking at you.
That's all I got for you to sell. That's it. Look out for a Vernade. 2 Vernades. They missed.
They're
Get
coming out of
the
storm.
G. Get the G.
Yeah, get to me. They have to fight each other.
They're out of drop.
Looking over. Have a good
No, I'm
arc.
getting shot. Use my knock, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm coming with knock. Just sit on knock.
Right next to us, Nick. Yeah, use knock. Block tower.
Blocking. The peeking. Swing that.
Block dead. Yep, swing it. Climb up, Nick.
You got spots. You need it.
They're dead. One more. He's
Knock's
got a
up.
bat off.
On the right.
They get shot in the
Up to
back.
the right. Play on knock.
Yeah, play
Watch it.
They don't know.
Yeah. Play.
Yep, just sit
Another one. Kill him.
Right,
Big
play
kill.
knock again.
537. Yeah,
I got it. Hit it back.
Hit it back.
Just wait.
They're focused on each other. I think we get this reset. I'm gonna rest. Yep, good shit.
Yeah. I'm dropping the bat.
What a performance for the tripods. Finally, though, Nick's gonna go down. Jet's gonna have to use his knockdown shield. That's all they have. There's a whole team above them, but they will secure a top 4 finish. 4th place for the tripods and a good start for them in their ALGS debut.
And Team Liquid coming in to clean up everything else. By the way, with Nocturnal, not only having the Kraber in his hand, but playing the Loba, the only Loba in this lobby. And can we fan ourselves just a little bit while we flex on the competition? Because he got not only the heirloom, but we are in a top 3 finish. Now the black market coming out that delete the crypto drone at the same time. I saw BR Demons also popping off in the back. Nice a note here as Team Liquid are looking to get some makeshift cover inside of this crate. You can see the missile storm now flowing out behind this rock with the circle closing in behind Team Liquid's back.
Yeah, this is where Loba's so effective. Early game to loot fast and rotate early, and late game to steal all the Deathbox loot and get all these shield swaps. They have like 3 or 4 shield swaps on the ground here. Team Liquid so well poised to win this game. They should be able to come out on top with it, to be honest. But the zone will be closing behind them, and they will lose those shield swaps pretty quickly. They're going to actually abandon it. Team to the right, they find them, immediately get some wingman shots in. Volt comes out for Sykes, the rookie on this team, and Team Liquid needs to get this wipe.
It's Team Liquid, CLG, Atlanta Premier now. 2 squads up as Team Liquid get taken out, and it's Atlanta Premier that stay on top with the best position that they can be in with 8 KP to their name. Atlanta Premier are looking to make the gap known.
AP over TL with the dub. Team Liquid secures 2nd, CLG 3rd, Tripods in 4th, but congratulations to the Atlanta Premier. Enemy Crook in Hills. We bring it back Rain Day to break it down.
Amazing. Just Crook Hill enemy. Great job, Atlanta Premier, taking it off, representing Atlanta. I love it. I lived in Atlanta for 3 years, but we got more to talk about. And you know what, Vicky? Take a little break. You did a great job. Made me laugh a little bit with the fanning comment from Loba, obviously showing off the heirloom. So we'll bring John in, and let's talk post-game, brother, because you know what? If anybody needs to be here to talk about that calm session that we just saw, that from top 8 to top 4, clutch hold there, it's you, man. Talk to me about the experience of seeing Tripods on their first game show out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I'm be honest. I didn't expect it. Not many would have expected it. Tripods, again, oversight, and didn't have a great showing. Got, I think, 20th or 19th place. But here we go in ALGS Pro League. First game against all odds. They show up big. A great listen-in. One of the best listen-ins I think we've heard. And their comms are on point. I love Nick affirming with I hear you. Such an important call-out to make sure you can kind of affirm that you understand your teammates' call-outs and address it. And in the end, the use of the knockdown shield keeps them alive. But this early game is what was interesting. You saw the Furia fight against G2 off the rip, Evan.
Yeah, and I think that also set the tone. And it's funny, Prodigy Ace is doing a really good his Watson impression of the tactical crouching there. I thought that there were no substitutions, but at the end of the day, you can see they're filling in quite well, positioning well, team fighting well. They're going to stick with the same game plan as they should. Dark Zero. We really wanted to see how they were performed. Didn't find themselves in that top 5, but still a decent performance in terms of taking the fight, being willing to be aggressive. You come into a different land, a different continent, and you say, we're going to challenge the best of the best. That's a tall task, John, but I think they showed up today, and they're certainly going to be ready to play over the next 5 games.
Yeah, completely agreed. And what's so interesting is it was Dark Zero, it was Tripods, and it was Complexity, all in the same exact area, and the team that made it out was Tripods. Kudos to them on that rotation. C9 here, obviously finding themselves in a fighting barometer, but did not make it to late game. So again, a difficult fight. The Horizon Ultimate came through the black hole and sucked him in, but this is the play from Gent. The use of the knockdown shield, the great comms coming through, and Nick and Gent as a team of two, the duo, are able to stop and thwart 3 pushes from 3 different players, not missing a single shot. The 1 clips from Gent with the car were absolutely insane, but ultimately they couldn't stand the pressure from CLG and Team Liquid on top of them.
Yeah, and you could tell Gent's got something to prove as well. Not a part of that G2 roster, splitting up with Designville and trying to figure out, where's my place. Nick and him have kind of found themselves in a beautiful fold together, becoming friends off the pitch or off the game, and now in it as well, and it is certainly showed. Tripods taking a 4th place there. Have to highlight that. CLG running in 3rd. Liquid with the Loba, the innovation. They got the guts fallout. You asked who's gonna have it. Liquid certainly have it, and I like that statement saying NRG who. Atlanta Premier as well, taking the top spot. And maybe I didn't mean it as literally here as I thought I did. NRG, G2, 0 points on the day. TSM barely breaking out 3, leading Furia, who have the sub of Prodigy Aces with 2. So a lot of our top teams not having the top game 1 they would have anticipated.
Yeah, look, Evan, in the same way that we said in EMEA, it's a new era of competitive Apex. It's a new season, a new year. It's anyone's game. And so far, it's not Cloud9, TSM, Furia, Complexity, G2, and RG that are in the top 10. It's the likes of Tripods, Atlanta Premier, and a few other kind of up-and-coming teams. Again, obviously, 1 game down, 5 more games to go. But hey, if they can stay consistent, teams like AP, teams like CLG, Tripods, this is a new dawn for competitive Apex. It's good to see some new blood here competing.
Yeah, and you know what? Nowhere in sight is TSM, NRG, or Furia, or Dark Zero at the top of the leaderboard. That belongs to Atlanta Premier. Will Game 2 hold anything different, or will they keep heating up? We'll find out, but let's take a quick break in the meantime and come back for some more action. Fantastic. If you missed it, don't worry. We've got you covered with the standings in just a moment. But welcome back to the ALGS Year 3 debut for North America. My name is Rain Day, and we are getting into the thick of it, especially with Atlanta Premier leading the charge. We had some great comms from Tripods, Nick Merck's squad alongside G2 Gent and Deeds, and we also saw a great transgression of Loba entering into the meta with Team Liquid, stealing the thunder from them and also solidifying a top 3 position. Let's bring John and Vicky back in to get their thoughts on it. Vicky, particularly, you had a bit of a break. We finally got some standings ready soon, but I want to hear your thoughts looking into Game 2 and obviously coming out of Game 1.
Well, talking about compositions, yep, we saw the Loba out in the field from Team Liquid. No surprise there, we have seen them pull out the Loba before, specifically when it comes to their game plan, when it comes to the rotations. I believe they do land in Cascade Falls, so with those quick rotates, they rely heavily on the black market for loot. And looking at the leaderboards right now after that first game, Atlanta Premier leading the way with 23 points. I love seeing this from this squad because obviously they recently picking up Enemy, the young controller player from Team Etc., and the team that we usually get to see play in the ESA Series E tournament is now making a showcase with Atlanta Premier, and they got some nice merch too, you know, no bias, but I got to see them a bit at MomoCon, and I got to see how excited they are for the Pro League.
Yeah, John, I mean, excitement all around the league for sure. And it's nice to see some unfamiliar faces at the top, but I'm sure things are going to change as we head into these next games as well. It is a marathon, not a sprint, of course, in Apex Legends Esports.
Yeah, that's absolutely. You mentioned some new names. Obviously, a couple rookies, right? There's players like Deeds in their ALGS debut. I couldn't call Nick a rookie by any means. He's been doing this in 4 titles for 15 plus years. But Deeds, you have Luxford, you have Enemy, the Mexican American player that you highlighted, Vicky. He's been so incredibly strong. And then you have Sykes making his debut in the ALGS Pro League alongside Team Liquid. So it's really, really cool to see so much new blood and new competition. And of all those players, they're all right in the top 4, top 5 right now. All played really, really well in game 2. No nerves for them.
And as we kick it off, it's time for game 2 of the action. So without further ado, Fallout, Vicky Kitty, get us into it.
Thank you so much, Rain Day. Game number 2 is here. What a game 1 it was. A solid start for the likes of Atlanta Premier. 23-point game. That's 11 kills in a first place 12-point finish. Team Liquid rocking that Loba. That is their signature in Storm Point. Hodzik put together that strategy for them about a year ago, and it's worked so well. They dropped Cascade Falls, used the Loba ultimate to loot quick, and then rotate fast, and then obviously use that black market to secure some late game loot. Worked really well for them in game 1, Vicky.
Yeah, are they going to stick to the Loba? We did see them change things up a bit throughout the champs and LAN, so I'm wondering if they're going to stick to the Loba here, because that has been a game plan that has worked consistently for the Team Liquid squad. As we get situated into game number 2, though, still 2 more games left on Storm Point before we make the transition into World's Edge. It's nice to note to see the different compositions and early 50-50 fighting that we've been able to see. We've also noted that Furia is not playing with his Watson today. Not sure why here, but it is nice to note that they are getting contested over in Lightning Rod by other squads like E8.
That's right. And speaking of which, I'm excited to jump right back to that Lightning Rod matchup. Let's see if G2 gives it up or decides to fight. And I'm looking here, G2 drops in Barometer, so pretty easily they're going to give up Lightning Rod, but they're going to find themselves in a contention against Aiden, Vayne, and Reeds, the BR Demons. Absolute monsters when it comes to 3v3 fights. One of the best arena teams. We saw them in a couple of arena tournaments that we casted, Vicky, about a year ago. That's not a team you want to fight 3v3. They're going to take tower, they're going to split Barometer loot in half, but I'll be honest, there's probably not enough loot in Barometer for 2 teams, so it's going to be an interesting situation to see if they decide to fight each other.
Especially if their G2 specifically is forced to rotate quickly out of there. We note that Dart Zero had no issue holding the choke point to the right side of Barometer. So with so many of these choke points already highly contested by some of these Watson squads, how is that going to play into the rotation approach that some of these teams want to go into?
Atlanta Premier getting themselves a free drop over down towards Shipfall. You see Crook by himself because they have basically the entire south side of the map to themselves. Crook's gonna be able to take this island right south of Barometer, and it's gonna be Enemy and Hill able to take all of Shipfall. It's a good loot spot for them, and that's why they found so much success in a southern zone. The zone pulled south last game. They were already there with the crypto at hand. And take a look here, E8 ratting and getting a little sneaky with it with a free kill on Jen Burton. Surprise, surprise, says E8. Last game they did it over in Lightning Rod to Furia. This time they did it to Jen Burton and Dark Zero in Command Center. They are pulling all the trick strats out of the bag right now. I love what I'm seeing from E8 and their preparation, outsmarting other teams in this lobby.
Insane right now. With such early fighting happening in game number 2 already, EA are looking to continue on their domination because this is, again, one of those solid squads that I've had my eyes on. Game number 1, they finished with 4 kills, but they didn't get the placement that they wanted. I believe they fell in 10th. Now they're overlooking from a high ground position on Lightning Rod on some of the squads that do end up landing here like Furia.
And I just want to point out, okay, let's break that down real quick. E8, last game, dropped High Point, okay, north of where they are right now. and immediately third-partied and hid and ratted to get a free kill on Furia. This game, they changed their strat, and they dropped right outside of Command Center, where they realized Jen Burton was looting by himself, got the free kill on Jen Burton, stayed patient, and got the free kill there. They're basically playing Apex Legends as a battle royale like it's Counter-Strike right now. They're playing round by round, running different strats, different initials, and coming out on top. As a former competitive player who played a round by round game type, Gears of War back in the day, I love to see it. I love to see the fact that they're busting out different strategies and getting super creative, outsmarting other people, and it's working out well for them. They got to make it to late game now.
And on a team like Dark Zero, by the way, that's absolutely huge, especially looking at the fact that Dark Zero is rotating through Command Center at this moment. We're taking a look at BR Demons, who obviously are running the Seer, so with that passive, they know exactly where G2 is positioned on the high ground of Barometer, like you mentioned before. It was those early 50-50s as Team Smiley, another squad that's in an early fight right now. It looks like we are all about the acceleration with no breaks fallout, and I love seeing this already early on in game number 2.
That's right, one of our newcomer squads, the ALGS, in their debut season. Blake, Gambit, and Sang find themselves in a fight against none other than the Atlanta Premier. Enemy's going to get docked down to 20 HP. He's going to be able to heal back up. Seer ult is down. They're going to avoid it by running outside of it. And just like that, the Watson pylon goes down, and they will be able to reset back to full. And this fight will continue.
Atlanta Premier taking the time, though, to reset real quick before actually wrapping around this wall. They're sharing this real estate, but fighting this early could spell doom in some of these buildings. You gotta get fenced up. You gotta make sure you set up the perimeter that you need to prevent these third parties from rotating in. But with so many other teams also running the crypto, though, Fallout, we have to note that that EMP completely negates this strategy. It will delete these fences, and it could be doom for some of these squads if a third to fourth party roll in. I mean, look at this. The other squad, the third party, is already looking at what's happening down below from the high ground of that building, as TSM are also fully sending into another squad before they end up rotating through Command Center.
Yeah, I think this squad is Dark Zero, who's down to a team of 2. I don't know if they were able to recover Banner. I don't think E8 camped the Banner,
there's a
so
team
they
behind
probably
them.
got it. Whether or not they got the res is the question. So TSM might have a 3v2 here. There's a team behind them, like you said. They're going to have to play this cautious. They obviously drop over in wall just north of where they're at right now, but they know that Team Liquid likes to drop Cascade Falls, Complexity to the west of Cascade Falls, so they're going to have a couple teams nearby.
Despite, though, having so much action at the very beginning of this game, Fallout, not one squad has fallen. We're seeing these stragglers with Resulto getting reads, knocking him, finishing him off like we saw earlier on with Jet. Now we're going to be able to see how the rest of these squads are going to play into this lobby. It's G2 that cleaned things up, and it's against BR Demons. This is the team that shared the real estate with them in Barometer, and look how long this fight took. The Ring 1 is already closing it behind their backs. Now they already have to start rotating, but they do get to walk away with a good amount of loot, and of course it's nice to note, G2's composition, we got the Bangalore, we got the Bloodhound, I mean, Seer, who?
That makes me so happy. Can I just say for a second, Biggie, I'm the happiest man watching this tournament right now. Bangalore, as a Bangalore main, as someone who enjoys watching the good old days of Bloodhound Bangalore meta, which kind of existed. Shiv made it work. I love seeing this. G2 on Bangalore and Bloodhound, but the fact that they are dropping Barometer now, they didn't really avoid what they ran away from Lightning Rod for. They didn't avoid the 50-50. They're going to have to 50-50 now every single round against BR Demons. And whether or not they'll take that 50-50 or early rotate is a question, but keep a close eye on G2 as they don't really have a home right now in this Pro League lobby.
Now taking a look at EA and the fight that they're dealing with currently right now before rotating into this circle. They're taking their time on the outskirts against James Fearless, who's holding onto the high ground. It's Sinus Please that are just looking to desperately loot. James is literally a single ping of a bullet away from getting that EO shield to purple. So let's see if he has the opportunity, because I mean, he's got the G7, but he's got to work with the iron sights.
Yeah, speaking of Bangalore, my man can throw a smoke at someone's face and get 10 damage and level up his Evo shield. He'll do that here hopefully in just a second with the tick of the flatline or G7. He thought he was being sneaky right there, but if he forgot that there's a Seer on every single team in this lobby, and there's no such thing as being sneaky anymore in Seer meta as it currently stands, as we see James get spotted out. But it looks like the team that was there nearby decided not to take that fight. Was it Tripods? I don't remember which team it was, but nonetheless, the Tripods here are nearby, going to loop back up and use that Watson pylon to do so.
This quadrant out here.
The tripods are taking the approach to these games very slowly, but with their composition, it makes total sense here. They got Deeds with the Valkyrie in case they need to skyward dive out of a tricky position, but you could tell with this game plan, with Nick Merckx practicing the Watson as he has been in scrims, they're taking a much slower approach in terms of prioritizing his final circle positioning than actually just trying to rotate and pick up kills in the process, because that's how a lot of these third parties, especially with the Seer, get to capitalize on getting free KP.
My man Nick is doing, physics and math in his head right now, trying to figure out how these fences work. He's learning quick. Now I'm just playing. Shout out to Nick on Watson and the tripod squad that is dropping Launchpad now. And just so people know, we mentioned it earlier, but the biggest change, obviously, from Challenger Circuit, where they were last year, to Pro League. One, they have a new roster. They're playing with Gent instead of Luda, who is on MLP in this lobby. He was their IGL. Two, they're no longer dropping Cenote Caves. It's not free anymore. CLG is the team that drops Cenote Cave in this lobby. So they had to find a new drop spot. That is Launchpad for them now, and they had to kind of relearn what their rotations are going to be like, but they've been preparing well. They've been scrimming well. They've been grinding. I know they've been locked in. It's been impressive to see how they've progressed. Meanwhile, we're going to see a Gibraltar on display here. Big team fight can ensue.
Oh, look at the plethora of arc stars just hurling in their direction. By the way, Bowser rocking the Vantage, the first Vantage that we get to see right now from the NA Pro League, but he gets taken out immediately as Rack Attack are forced to back up. Oh, nobody saw that. It bounced off of the door, and there's another squad right behind them. While they were fighting, it's MPL now moving into position to catch him from right behind. The Gibby goes down, and Rakanishu also gets taken down as well. 19 squads still left in this lobby, and one straggler left for Rack Attack.
MPL, dark horse team that I kind of labeled going into this game and into this lobby today. A team that's been performing kind of quietly well. I'm Madness, former member of CLG or Skirt, won championships with that roster, was one of the top players and top IGLs way back then. Since then, has had quite a roller coaster of a career, and people still kind of sleeping on him as an IGL and as a player, but obviously proving that he's still one of the best and trying to prove that he's one of the best in the game. We'll see if he can do that in this lobby today, because guess what? G2 are nearby. I'm getting remnants of Skirt versus Soul Fide, the matchup we used to see so many weeks in a row back in the season 1 of ALGS as G2 Chaotic. The Brit is going to make his presence known here in this lobby.
And with G2 now moving in on MPL, you see Madness now trying to run for the skies over to the side. Here comes that scan from Designful as well. Now going to be able to move in. They get Luda, they get Pow Pow. That's just one left with Madness trying to run behind this rock. But look at the rest of G2 moving in on him like he is a turkey on Thanksgiving. That's MPL getting deleted. 18 squads still alive in this lobby Fallout, but we have some stragglers and unfinished squads that are still running around.
Yeah, speaking of Thanksgiving, they made it look like they're playing a game of pigskin right there. That was like an orchestrated NFL-type offensive strategy. All right, Chaotic was the middle linebacker, was pushing wide on top mid right there, able to get some good shots in, and then G2, Designful, and co were able to execute with a perfect blitz, very well orchestrated from G2 in that 3v3 as we're jumping on board with NR with them instead and hear how they're going to play this 3v3.
I didn't get it. I don't think he's healed.
What the fuck?
They ran
back to the
they ran to this building. They ran to this building.
Fuck, man. How do we know that angle?
They were literally all fucking staring at me because I was on scan.
On the right window.
They're in the bigger one on the corner.
Yeah. Fuck, man. I should have just aped that.
He was peeking the window, I think.
All the way. They sound like they're walking out right now.
Yeah, they might be trying to fight this. Yeah, they are. They're taking space. But bang. I'm down low right now. I have
They're watching my peak.
Up top, bang. I'm seal
They killed me. They killed me.
Blue armor, bang. 40.
Just hit like.
One of them might be on roof, and I can't peek balcony because of smoke.
I think he's like they're inside, but they're playing like out of the serial or something.
Okay, I'm gonna swing left in the field. They're gonna counter zero less.
Over here.
Is that them?
Yes.
Yeah, just backed up off the serial.
All right. Well, they're.
Try it again, and if they smoke my.
We should just leave. Go back down to our old building, bro. Fighting bang teams is like the most just rage-inducing shit ever. Come to me. We're gonna wrap and either just foul cold or something. I mean, we're fighting for literally nothing here. We have to make a play off of that initial damage on the bang I had.
Clearly, Sweet's not a fan of fighting against Bangalore teams, Vicky, as we saw right there, is the Energy's not able to capitalize on the early damage. They're going to be forced to reset and rotate all the way back. It's going to be a tough rotation for them. We should keep a close eye on NRG as they have a potential to have a bad second game here in a row.
Yeah, let's not forget that SZN with Klein, actually, who just cleaned up energy in game number 1, was also in the area playing on the outskirts of that Seer ult. So many squads quickly disengage from Cascade Falls to rotate into this next circle. We do note that it is going to be pulling away towards the east side of Storm Point, away from Cascade Falls, which actually leaves a lot of open buildings. Furia trying to get ahead of the curve, though. You can see that they've already taken up the real estate on the high ground of this building, with the Skyward Dive actually looking like they're going overhead. There's beamage from every angle right now on that poor Skyward Dive. I would not want to be that Valkyrie.
Yep, Furia, after bullying G2 out of Lightning Rod, going to be well looted and not getting griefed by E8. It's going to be well looted here, right above the zone, and they have high ground to work their way in slowly but surely. They'll take their time and continue to play edge or pop a Valk ultimate. Something tells me the former. They know there might be a team behind them, so nice job by Zero Tricky, just keeping his head in a swivel, making sure they're not getting flanked. Gentrifying's gonna get a knock on Jalone. As Deeds gets a knock on Stomps, the tripods are lighting it up in the kill feed right south of where Furia is right now, but gotta be careful because the third party is certainly nearby.
So I must make a note that I believe the Valkyrie that was going overhead originally that we were seeing was from TSM, because they had gotten information of where the circle was going to be originally. As tripods look to be in trouble, Nick Merckx getting knocked despite going for this trade. It's the third party that moves in and they take care of bots. More KP going in their pocket. As you can see that they've been lining up the kill feed. They already have 4 KP to their name. Unfortunately, Nick Merckx gets dirtied, and the other squad on the other side is going to be able to focus fire that lone member. It is TSM looking to take control over this circle.
Yeah, TSM capitalizes. They hear the fight, and they are able to third party and take advantage, taking out the tripods. And unfortunately, they get taken out. TSM now, seeing where the zone's going to pull, in a good position. Full purple shields, 3 kills to their name. Let's go ahead and jump into a listen-in with TSM.
We have a good spot. Look, zone. Grab nades for me. I need them. I have 0.
There's no nades. No nades. I have 1 grenade. I can drop it to you. I can drop to you the 1.
Are you sure? I don't. Oh, I see him drop the rocks.
Here. I'm dropping it.
Wait, why did you run over there? What?
Frag grenade here.
Why does it matter? Said I was coming to you.
One more body I'm gonna check for nades.
I have ulti. Give me gold helm. You have Seer ult? No.
No, I don't. I don't have it.
Yeah.
I don't have Ultixel either.
Oh, that's like no nades.
Start pressuring this team.
I don't let bats.
Blue armor on this team.
I think we. There's a team on the left that's gonna start pinching us.
2 of them have blue on this right side.
Yeah, I know. There's team on the left.
Dropping gold helm for you now?
Yep.
You need
There's team on the left.
7.
I have 5 bats.
I have 3.
Okay. I'm gonna drop you 3.
Like, do we have anywhere safe to walk in?
Yes, on this right here. We just walk right here.
Okay.
The team. I don't think team on the left has any cover for us, for them to like pinch us. So I think we'll be fine.
300 light, by the way.
It's hard to shoot this guy.
Let's see if I can swap weapons really quick off the scout.
Should I move up now?
Yeah, walk up now. Yes.
I cracked one on blue on the right side rock.
I have a sky nade I can throw on them later. You don't want to play there, Evan. You're playing here, bro.
Are we playing the right side?
Yes. There's nothing on the left for us to play on. I'm walking up now.
They're moving forward with you.
Let me know when
We want to play aggressive on this team because they don't have like any cover.
I think I should walk up too then. I'm walking up. They backed up a little bit.
I walked up a bit.
They're there. They're still there.
Okay, just don't. Just look over me. This team, we have to worry about this team on the left here.
They're under
They can play these rocks here and get behind us.
They cannot. It's in the gas.
Are you sure?
Those rocks are partly in right here.
They might have went up here. I think they went up here.
Yeah, they're on the rocks.
Yeah, someone's up there.
Blue armor Valk.
Someone's up right here on this right side.
They're gonna get pinched eventually. Just wait.
I'm watching our
The guys on the left swinging a little bit.
Was she left?
26. The Bloodhound with the wingman.
Gotta be G2.
I think they moved up. Over.
Yeah, that's fine. That sounds good. That's good.
Let us go.
And jumping back into this one, you hear the comments from TSM. They know the G2's to their left based on the Bloodhound Q. And meanwhile, big fight going on. Klein season against Atlanta Premier. high ground versus low ground, and Team Smiley nearby as well.
Team Smiley, though, forced to actually exit out of this building into the line of sight of this other squad, meeting them on the other side. It's Atlanta Premier that are also involved in this fight right now. The fact that Gavin is still alive as they're still cleaning up a lot of these other teams. Season eliminated now. Now you can see they're trying to wrap around to the corner. Again, they have to exit out of this building. The circle's going to be closing in 50 seconds. You got to prevent some of these reses from coming out, but there's still other squads in the vicinity like Furia that have the high ground. Originally, we heard Verholz talking about it before. They saw that there was another squad on the high ground originally, and CLG get taken out. Furia with Prodigy Aces making his move into the Furia squad for right now as he stands in for his Watson has been able to be a mainstay pawn right now for this team. Atlanta Premier in a lot of trouble to try to get out of this area as Team Liquid also get eliminated.
Atlanta Premier with an opportunity to potentially go back-to-back here. 29 points to their name, but they are getting absolutely decimated by thermite grenades left, right, and center. Need to heal back up. They will, I believe, have the regen. No, they won't from the pylon. I thought there was a pylon down from Watson, so instead it got destroyed. They'll heal back up. And obviously no pylon with the thermites going off. Looks like 7 squads remain. Furia has been playing this near perfect, though, and they're probably in God spot. Best position to win this game is Furia as TSM gets a knock on Fury.
Yeah, because I heard the fighting happening between Team Liquid and G2. It was G2 that took that fight to Team Liquid earlier on, like we made note of, as Reps falls incredibly low. He needs to suppress cover while he tries to pop the shield bat. You see that he is able to successfully pop it, but where is TSM going to rotate here? They're playing up the low ground, and ESA are right in front of them. They're taking some shots onto TSM, and G2 have not gotten involved just yet. G2 can easily come in for a third party. As you can see, Furia light up the feed. They're splitting their attention to 2 different teams. It's going to be Crook, it's going to be TSM, and they're going to be backing up to play on the other side of the edge of the circle.
And TSM's going to profit by this fight between G2 and ESA. Looks like Result is going to get the kill on Capra. 2 members knocked right now, and TSM is just profiting from this fight. Furia nearby. Not sure if the Atlanta Premier were able to survive under the duress they were under moments ago, but TSM with 3 squads remain alongside Furia and 1 more, well poised to potentially take home game number 2.
It's Rack Attack being the lone warrior on the other side as TSM are getting dinged from the other side by Furia. Furia not trying to fully engage because it's TSM that are in the positional disadvantage, and just like you were saying, Fallout, the high ground going in favor of Furia is absolutely huge. But can they find Impulse, who's the lone warrior of the Rack Attack squad?
I can't believe Rep survives right there with 30 HP, almost gets scanned by a Seer Q, which maybe would have given them the intel for them to take advantage of nades or something. Reps is able to heal back up. I think he's popping a med kit right now as well. So TSM back to full. Furia on high ground, full HP, 3 red Evo shields as well to their name, and 1 more team surviving in this 3-way finish. Seer Q is going to be popped. They're not going to have it for at least another 20 seconds here. Same with Zera.
What are they going to do here? Furia just going to take their time. 3 squads left. Once again, it's the rat from Rack Attack that is left behind Furia, but he is not going to engage. Zera is on the Seer, so he could easily find them from right behind, but their focus is fully on the TSM squad that's right playing underneath them.
Basically a 3v3 right now between TSM and Furia, as that rat will be found or spotted out. As I say that, no, Impulse actually is not known. It's actually Verholz that we thought was the rat. So Verholz is soloed wide left. Panders is going to find himself in a pretty bad spot. Hal versus Panders in a 1v1. The tension is so intense right now between the 2 of them. Just a few feet, but it looks like Furia wants to aim. Impulse is going to drop and absolutely grief this fight. And that gives TSM a perfect opportunity to win this game.
No way that just happened right now. Rack Attack finally get eliminated, but still at the same time, Furia took too much damage. TSM having the opportunity as Rep falls incredibly low. TSM come out on top, and they take care of Furia. TSM are your winners for game number 2.
Massive TSM and Impulse Dream from Rack Attack with the handshake right there says, hey, let's make sure Furia doesn't win this game, as Impulse contributes to that one, but TSM clutches out and closes out. What a game 2 that was. TSM with the dub in game number 2, Randa.
Hey, you guys called it. You said we'd see these similar lineups. Nothing but not a lot of the fancy stuff like Amiya. TSM, tried and true. They know what Furia brought to championships. They know that they tried to play it, switch back to their comfort, Gibby and Caustic. Well, now they're using it to start the new year, and they take down Furia in their first 3v3 go-ahead for the championship game in game 2. Fallout, take a break. We'll see you in just a bit. I want to talk to Vicky about this post-game, Vicky, because there were so many nice things that happened there, and a little fun had by Impulse behind that 3v3. Yes, it was a great matchup between the 2, but it wasn't really a fair one with what Impulse did.
Sarah is on the seer. He had to turn around, use that heartbeat sensor. He would have found Impulse, but they dropped down not knowing where the rat was. But that's great news for Rack Attack because they still were able to get third no matter what at the very end. Furia, though, although they didn't win that game, they didn't get those 12 extra points, they still, I believe, had more KP to their name than TSM did. But TSM had an amazing game number 2 because this is one of those squads when I think about momentum, quite literally building up as the games progress, TSM has to be in my mouth when it comes to just the amount of momentum that they carry between each game whenever they win.
One of the best points I think you're making, the way TSM like to learn from their mistakes and build. And this might be something that we mentioned Raven, the coach, coming into this squad having an impact, but it's also something we've seen with Hal, with Reps for their entire career, of course with Verhulst as well. This team has had potential to dominate, and we've seen them take too long in the big moments at LAN to get the switch right away. But it felt like if they had an extra game, if they had a couple more, you know, runs at it, maybe an extra lobby or two, they would have actually been able to find success. We're seeing that here, a very good sign for TSM fans. It just takes one game to adjust and take the final spot, Vicky. But ESA, they were in a good spot too. They ended up cannibalizing G2 here, and that was one of the bigger themes. G2, ESA pressing what TSM's advantage could have been, and then they fight each other and leave TSM for the wide swing, and so that actually ended up being something that went in their favor.
Yeah, ESA, although they were trying to take advantage of that where that next circle was going to be pulling, they still ended up, I believe, falling down in what, 14th overall, just being able to get only 1 KP in the overall leaderboards, that is. In that game, they did fall in 5th place. So with them trying to take off G2, they were having their fights to the side. You saw Atlantic Premier was having a fight to the north end of that final circle. But I want to also pinpoint, because there's so much to note for TSM in that rotation, they were able to get the beacon scan before calling the Skyward Dive to rotate into that final circle, which allowed Hal, as you could hear in the comms, no, we are in the best spot that we could be. They were on the southern side of the circle, their backs to the ring, they know that nobody was going to come to contest them, and they took out the one squad that had already situated themselves there, which I believe were the tripods.
Yes, and you know, then they had the chance to come and play onto ESA. ESA did not stay there. I'm not sure if they didn't have the circle information or if they were there a little, you know, they're a little bit too early, Vicky, so they didn't have a chance to scan a beacon, or they were just too enticed by the idea of G2 and the KP that was on the corner and didn't want to fight in the center with no cover, as Hal had also mentioned. So there were a lot of nice dynamics there, but I think this is kind of showing us where if this continues, we will be seeing a crazy finish to today. Notably, we saw Liquid have a really strong performance as well. This is a team I love. Introducing Sykes, obviously Gildersons went away to NRG. NRG, another team that we want to pay attention to, but I want to shift things back to Liquid because I do feel that there is a lot to unfold there. Not only just the personal things that they've got going on, trying to prove this moment, but the tactical stuff with using Loba. Quick thought on where they are right now, Vicky, and then of course we're going to take a little bit of a break.
I believe in this game, they did fall in 8th place. They didn't secure KP because what works into their game plan, like we've noted before with the Loba, if they are sticking to the Loba comp, is to slow place themselves into the circle. Yeah. They want to situate themselves in that final circle and just rely on the black market when it comes to loot, because a lot of teams deny themselves the opportunity to get the ammo that they need because they're already bunkered down with the Watson and Newcastle. That's not the case for Team Liquid. They rely on that black market, but maybe being a little too slow after that game too, because they didn't get the KP that they really wanted, aside from the placement points that they got, which only secured them 2 points in that game number 2.
Right. And so let's see if they can stay consistent. Let's see if they can do what they have continued to do in all of competitive Apex Legends esports, which is perform, but maybe not reach the pinnacle where we know they can. Will this be their year? Will TSM continue their onslaught? We'll find out more and get you those standings after this break. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are here, Rain Day, as your host, alongside the amazing commentator duo of Vicky Kitty and Fallout. We haven't seen the standings yet, so I want to get right to it, both of you, and check out where that game landed us with the results and the standings and hear your thoughts on it. John, I'm going to start with you. Big game for TSM.
Absolutely. 19-point game. Very different than what we saw in EMEA, where we saw multiple 19-kill games, not as much top-heavy in the standings here. But TSM and Furia get tied with 19 total each. G2 with a 12-point game right behind them, and then pretty even distribution all the way down to ESA in 10th with 4 points. Tripods pick up another 6. Kudos and shout out to CLG for another 7 as well, Vicky.
Yeah, it's nice to know with Furia getting those double-digit kills, though, for that game number 2. It still allows them to tie up with TSM in the overall points. Now, looking at this other side of the overall leaderboards for game number 2, you can see Complexity Team Liquid, who were unable to get the KP that they wanted. They did get the placement points, but again, like we noted before, did not get the KP that they needed in that second game to be able to be in the conversation of where they are in game number 2. Because I believe overall, after the performance in game number 1, they are still top 5 in the overall leaderboards.
Eyes on Cloud9, NRG, Dark Zero Esports, all with goose eggs in that last one. Heading over to our standings, though, Atlanta Premier, they keep their top spot. In fact, they extend it with 30 points. They've been performing really nicely today. Let's see if they can keep that up. Hill and Squad. TSM 22, that big win puts them ahead of Furia by 1 point, though they tied in this last game in terms of points. Furia with a little bit more KP than TSM. TSM with the KP because they won the game. Liquid, though, really solid performance, and CLG rounding out our top 5 right with Tripods leading us into it. A lot can happen, though. You see Dark Zero Esports, they show up when they need to, and maybe match 3 is exactly when they do. We're almost halfway through, but we got one more game before we can say that officially. And let's take it over to Vicky Kitty and Fallout to guide us through it.
Thank you so much, Rain Day. Atlanta Premier on top. I just got to take a moment to say, put some respect on Hill's name. Look, he's someone who's been through trials and tribulations in his career, was on the guard and got dropped from that team. And a lot of people, you kind of scapegoated him on that squad, and they were, not performing up to expectations. He got replaced, I believe, by Rambo at the time. And since then, well, he's found a way to rise back to the top on the Atlanta Premier squad. Kudos to Hill, playing alongside Crook and the rookie and Enemy. They've been looking really, really solid, Vicky.
Yeah, not gonna say that I said something to them in person, but I said something to them in person. I said Hill needs to come back, and look what he's been able to do with Atlanta Premier. Yeah, I did actually, but it's also nice to note that
I'm
Emily.
gonna ask you though, did you put on that accent because you were in Arkansas when you talked to them, so you felt the need to talk with a southern accent? What was that all about?
Well, no, I was actually in Atlanta, but I was literally in Atlanta. I don't know. I'm from South Florida. I don't even know what we don't even speak properly out here, but we do our best. You know what I mean? So I know how you're feeling about the Dolphins and their performance so far. But now we get to see all 3 players of TSM are winners from game number 2. All right, just before I trigger Fallout just a little bit, I want to highlight the Enemy on the Atlanta Premier squad has been doing this team justice, because although they did get top 5, or actually top 6 in that game number 2, falling in 6th place. Despite that, they still were able to get a good amount of KP to hold that number 1 spot in the group standings.
Yeah, that was a good game from Atlanta Premier. Pick up the KP that's needed overall. One thing I want to point out as well, we didn't talk about it, in the second page of the leaderboards, NRG with 1 point. And we kind of foreshadowed it. When they had to rotate out of Cascade Falls, that really tough rotation, I mentioned this might be a back-to-back poor start for NRG, and it ended up being, because it's tough rotation. It's not even their fault, it's just a tough rotation. And in the end, that ended up being true. NRG got taken out on rotation. Meanwhile, over towards Stormcatcher finds Synced, Tempest, and James Fearless in an early 3v3.
Oh, this is very interesting, because when it comes to final circles, I feel like Stormcatcher is one of the highly consensus spots next to Thunderwatch, which are side by side with one another because of the disparity of high to low ground. But Sinus Please are looking to contest this spot right now here too. It looks like there is one other squad in the area, another squad that probably lands in Command Center that are getting whiff of this fight. I believe that it's going to be Dark Zero, like we noted before, who had gotten caught off guard by E8 originally. Sinus Please, though, are taking their time within this fight because they have good loot. I mean, despite the lack of ammunition running double light, they got the replicator right in front of them if they happen to win this fight. But they also have the purple Evo and 2 blue Evos off of Rip.
Yeah, I'm not sure which team is right south of them. We'll keep an eye on them and see if that fit will continue. But yeah, Sinus Please said, hey, let's just work our way to the top of this Stormcatcher POI and use some Watson fences and say, hey, try and push us, I dare you. And that's enough to scare the other team away. So Sinus Please will be able to get all the Stormcatcher loot, a high loot tier location, plus they'll be able to craft up as well. And Vicky, I think you mentioned it earlier in the broadcast. What's in the crafter today?
Today we have the Digi Threat. We also have the purple laser sight, as well as the new weekly rotation that is the purple knockdown shield and the mobile respawn beacon. So that's nice to note for some of these squads that look like they're getting a little bit too aggressive or caught out of rotation, like we saw in game number 1 with Furholes. Not even trying to put them on the spot, but you know, sometimes we have those plays where we have some individual members just playing out in the open too much. You still have that respawn beacon to rely on in case you need to call it in.
Well said. Appreciate the intel. Flip it on over to the BR Demons. We mentioned it'll be a game-over-game story between G2 and the BR Demons over in Barometer. And you guarantee that BR Demons is going to fight this, and looks like that's exactly what's happening. G2 right below them, playing Bangalore and Bloodhound, which is a great team composition for an early game fight, by the way, against a Horizon Seer comp. Looks like Vane's going to miss his cue right there. Vane, the former champion of ALGS Year 2 with 100 Thieves. Certainly no slouch. We'll see if he can help his team find success here. A couple good 30-30 shot. Oh my god, this man doesn't miss.
Oh, so scary, especially with the 30-30 just being a destructive weapon. Barometer always getting contested here between BR Demons and D2. This is a storyline that we actually highlighted at the very beginning going into Storm Point, because this contention has been going on since early scrims.
Well, hey, this fight's going to continue to persist. Let's jump into a listen with the BR Demons, see how they decide to play it.
74 1. We're gonna be running out of meds.
Make sure, yeah, maybe craft the med kit, because we're gonna be in zone here.
I'm gonna leave. I've been doing a lot of damage to these guys up top. No one's underneath. No one's right at the res. Like right up here, no one's there. I'm gonna go craft reads.
Yeah.
Gonna interrupt that listen in to jump back and right into a TSM versus Furia fight, breaking fight here towards the north side of the map. We know Furia drops Lightning Rod, TSM drops in wall, and they made an early rotation from wall to high point and find themselves in a bit of a skirmish against Furia.
But you know who also could rotate through wall fallout? You know that NRG could rotate from checkpoint towards wall. So if they're hearing this fight, then you could expect NRG to also get involved in this fight. Furia now having to play passively. You see the Arc Stars getting hurtled in their direction. Now trying to move away behind these doors. It's Panders that's taking some extra cover. Zera has some information from the Seer ult, and he gets that crack originally first onto Hao, who's just waiting to see if he could get a nice angle onto Zera. Gotta run away from the grenade first. Ooh.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. NRG likely will be rotating here from the west side of the map. Team Liquid as well in the vicinity, coming, of course, from Cascade Falls originally. So a couple teams in the area here. It's going to be a Thunderwatch finish, most likely. Maybe Command Center, depending where it pulls. Furia hits some great wingman shots. It's going to be Panders with the wingman controller Lord himself. And now he's going to be flying against this Loba. Not missing right now is Panders as Team Liquid gets taken out by TSM and C9 to Furia. But Stay Naughty says, anything you can do, I can do better on controller.
It's a swap up. It's the fact that Team Liquid is now getting chased by TSM, and currently Furia are not only just dealing with ESA, but they are dealing. Oh, now they're going to be able to fully send it in here. This is the green light for ESA to now clean up the fight that was happening right before their eyes. EA was on the basically on the outskirts of the fight, playing underneath them, but ESA are going to be able to come out on top.
ESA profits from that Furia versus Cloud9 fight. They get all the loot to their name, and they're going to be hunting for at least one more kill. Phony obviously playing on Seer and trying to get as much of the intel on the final third rat, which I believe is Stay Naughty, running for his life right now with his tail between his legs. And of course, he's going to be running right into the hands of TSM and a few others that were just north. So we'll see if Stay Naughty can survive for now. But in the end, ESA has so much map control right now and so much loot as well.
And they have the high ground here too, because they can overlook what is going on between this high ground into Thunderwatch. Eventually, though, they will have to drop because the circle is pulling more so towards Thunderwatch. And we talked about at the very beginning before, as we get to see TSM in the middle of their rotations. They're playing on the outskirts away from where a lot of the action is. Playing on the other side of this rock from Thunderwatch allows them to still maintain the high ground without putting themselves out in the open. That would put them in the line of sight of E8, who have taken the real estate already in Thunderwatch.
Yeah, and TSM actually opted, as opposed to holding high ground, high point, actually to play more eastern towards Lightning Rod instead. They're predicting a zone to pull to the east. It looks like they're predicting well. They got to be careful, though, for any teams that are coming from behind them. And they're doing a good job, again, keeping their head in the swivel, making sure any teams that decide to rotate through Storm, from wall, the same path that they took, they can track. And we know, again, NRG usually likes to take that rotation on these eastern zones. We know they must be nearby. Meanwhile, the BR Demons, I don't know if they won their fight against G2 or they did not take it, but they are going to be playing edge on a hard rotation for them.
Let's see where they want to rotate with 17 squads still left in this lobby. They're going to be passing a lot of heads in the process, bouncing on them as you may, as BR Demons are going to make their appearance over by Cascade, trying to ping some of the other members of the squad that have been taking up the real estate in this area before trying to go in for the rotation, because while all of this noise is going on, the squads here will be probably rotating through command center where some teams are already taking the real estate by Stormcatcher.
Looks like the Seer ult's going to go down. They're going to have great intel on the team below them, but a team's going to be nearby as well. I think there's only 2 players in that building. They can ape that 3v2, but a nice Seer Q is going to keep them at bay, buys them some time. Not sure which team it is, but the BR Demons like these close quarter fights, mostly controller players with the exception of Vayne, Reeds, and Aiden from Canada, 2 Canadian players representing our friends and neighbors up north in the Pro League alongside Sentinels. We'll see how Aiden and Reeds plays this one.
The way they backed up right there, though, they look so uncomfortable. Reed's getting beamed as he's forced to pop the shield back. It's the other squad that's on the other side that they have to think about real quick here before trying to fully engage. Nice beamage, though. It's CLG waiting for them on the inside, though. They trade 1 for 1 as Dini also knocks down Vayne. Let's see what's going to go on here as Aiden also knocks down Mamba at the same time. CLG now finding this trade, just really leaving up to that 1 low member of the squad versus 2 members of the BR Demons.
Yeah, Dimmy's gonna be the last alive. He's gonna be tagged for 60. The Hemi does too much with the burst, especially if you connect with all 3 shots of the burst. And just like that, we said it, the BR Demons are so good in these close corridors fights, and despite playing against a CLG roster of mostly controller players as well, they win that with relative ease. So nice job to BRD, as they will pick up 3 KP and find themselves continuing to rotate to this northeast Storm finish. Nathan alone? The rest of NRG? There we go. Okay, they're all alive still. Sweet and Guild, all NRG in full force, as on the top right of your screen, MLP getting knocked by Dark Zero.
Now with the BR Demons as well coming out of that fight, though, it's nice to know that they have that entire side of the circle clear to themselves, so they can decide whether they want to take the high ground approach towards command center, they want to approach from the southern side, where they would see Stormcatcher in their point of view. They may want to go for a higher rotation up and around towards Energy is currently sitting in this circle, because I do believe the circle is going to be continuously pulling towards Thunderwatch on the outskirts of the east side of Thunderwatch, where we usually see some of those end circles finish.
NRG in 20th place with 1 point. Not something you see happen very often. But they need a big game 3 here on Storm Point. Otherwise, it's going to all come down to their World's End finish. They're going to be getting flanked, and they're going to find themselves in a fight. Seer ult's going to come through. Nathan will heal back up, and Nathan, his job, his responsibility is avoiding the sandwich, making sure a team isn't third party from up north. Here comes Gildersons. We know what he's capable of with the Volt in his hands. One of the best 1 clippers in Apex. And there it is. The wide left flank from Gild does the damage. Sweet connects for the rest, and immediately turns and beams another. Gildersons proving and showing why he is arguably one of the best controller players in the world right now, as NRG is handling Season in this 3v3.
But look how they're working together. It's like a swap off between Sweet and this player who is just absolutely going to beam right now. You see, Season now going to be able to try to hide. It's just Hackula left, nowhere to run, as Energy are going to finish cleaning things up. Guild is such an insane player, but the way that you can see that Energy are working together for these follow-ups is even more impressive. Now, what's even scarier here, Fallout, you got Guild with limited energy ammo, but with a purple extended energy mag to work with, and when it comes to Guild holding onto that Volt, the only other player that I could think of that actually has that beamage is Verhulst with that controller. So both Guild and Verhulst with the Volt are some of the scariest players to have to deal with in this lobby.
Yeah, absolutely. Many pro players who have tried fighting Gildersons in a 1v1 in firing range have learned how truly talented he is with an SMG in his hands in close range fights. And it showed right there. Great use of skill and great use of movement, and showcasing his skill, at least, in that one. TSM, second place, 25 points to their name, still in zone. So this rotation from TSM has proved to be fruitful. A really, really key rotation. Nice job from Hal, calling the early rotate and predicting the zone correctly, as they find themselves in a great position right now. Great map control, great loot to their name. TSM well poised to go back-to-back here.
Yeah, they could afford to be here too, because it's what we were mentioning before. It's that 50-50 that they're taking without being in the line of sight of multiple squads out in the open. The ring is to their back. They see another squad to their south, but they have the positional advantage, having this slight high ground. And of course, with Reps being on the seer, he's going to be able to know where they're situated. And with a fight ending right now, some of these other squads are trying to get involved. This is probably the action happening in Stormcatcher, because I do know that there's about 3 squads in this area alone. So G2 now looking to finish things off.
G2's gonna do exactly that. That's gonna be a couple kills picked up for G2. Bloodhound Intel 2 strong, combined with the Bangalore smoke, and you basically can completely control the tempo of a 3v3 fight, while with the other team being screened and not able to see you. So you love that Bloodhound and Bangalore duo and composition. You've seen teams like Empire back in the day and EMEA run it, but not many others in North America. G2 changing the meta a little bit here with the pick of Bloodhound and Bangalore, and it's working out.
You love to see it. You love to see the change up on composition too, really highlighting what we've seen already in APAC and in EMEA. Both basically G2 just feeling what they feel incredibly comfortable with while they decide their next move on where they want to rotate Fallout.
Yeah, zone is closing, and they have quite a ways to go in this rotation, so I'm really interested to hear how they play it. It might be a difficult one. Let's jump into a listen-in with G2 and see how they fare.
For that corner, right?
Yep.
That's where we're trying to get to?
I have one nade.
I have a
They went left side. Swing towards the right. You're gonna have to bang with it. Use these rocks as cover.
sir. Literally moving.
Yes, yes, yes. Swing towards us. You're gonna have to bang with it.
I'm gonna be going too soon. Give me a sec. Do it now.
Vivid, we need to push
90 on Watson.
I'm smoking our left side.
I'm going far right, You're by yourself.
I'm on swing with you, Zen. We're in zero.
We got hard swing right. Hard swing right.
I cracked one.
Body swap,
Right here, punching me. Go this bitch.
Nice.
Oh. We're good.
Back here.
Fucking reset right now.
We cannot get stuck back here.
I know.
I'm gonna go up and take space while you guys are fucking looting. You scan it.
Right.
Nice.
We're good.
I'm gonna grab this 3-0. I need some of that light chaotic.
And a great timing for the listen in, and you know, some great fights, some unnecessary F-bombs, but nonetheless, nice shot from G2 right there. And again, we get some Australian accents, we got some British accents here. Is this the North American Pro League we're talking about, Vicky? What's going on?
It's the diversity when it comes to some of these regions and the talent that they get to bring into the NA region as well. Also, pretty sure that was designed for. I would not be surprised. Come on. But now we get to see what TSM is going to be doing on the other side of this roster.
Designful's middle name is an F-bomb. It's Designful F, whatever his last name is.
You know, the crazy part is he would fully embrace it too, because he loves to have fun with it, but he also absolutely loves to win. So you can hear the intensity in his voice when it comes to those comms. Now moving away though from G2 and looking at TSM's positioning, it's still in the same spot where they're not only trying to negate the push from ESA on their other side, but complexity that they've kept their eyes on, that's kind of on that slight low ground as well. G2 now getting involved in another fight though. The Beast of the Hunt has been activated from Designful.
Scans for days, vision for days from Designful and the G2 boys. They also are going to have the pylon to heal back up with heal over time as well, but they got to be careful. They got the first knock on Crook and they got a little bit excited, but Vayne was able to third party from afar, so we know that it is the BR Demons who they were fighting over in Barometer. Episode 2 of that fight here. Crook is still knocked, enemy staying alive by a thread.
Atlanta Premier now, you can see just holding on to what little health they had before finally getting cleaned up. It's Atlanta Premier dropping in 10th, and it's G2 that still somehow get to stay alive playing off of this low ground. They now getting contested though from the high ground, wondering if that's EA on the high ground of Thunderwatch. They have not left this spot the entire time. I mean, why would they? They're in the circle. They have the high ground. They're not going to give up that.
Wow, great shots coming through. BR Demons take out G2, and just like that, they got to continue their rotation, and there's a team right above them. I'm not sure if I saw in the kill feed who it was, but Esports Arena is nearby. They get a knock and a kill on NRG and Sweet, so it looks like NRG down to one more player. It's Gilderson's alive currently. E8 is above the BR Demons nearby as well. We know the tripods have been alive. We haven't seen the tripods in this game. Interested to see where they're positioned. Team Liquid, Complexity, and TSM are your other teams left in this this one. 5 or 6 teams remain in this lobby. And here we go. E8 on high ground with the BR Demons right below them. On board now.
Oh, this is intense right now. I'm not too sure if my mic is back online. Maybe it's because I peaked my mic. I'm not too sure because looking at the... All right, we are back. All right, Team Liquid, by the way, with only Nocturnal is still left alive. He left a little surprise for Complexity before he finally gets eliminated by the rest of ESA. E8 have not left this real estate. They're still sticking not only to the high ground, but the inner parts of this building as BR Demons are going to force their way on top of E8.
And I don't know if that's a Rampart shield or a... it's a Newcastle shield, I think, because I see far away. Sorry, my quality is a little difficult to see on my screen here, but Lux is going to get the knock on Imperial Hal. That's a good start from Complexity. Nice job of the BR Demons to get high ground here. Somehow, some way, they took high ground from E8, but it looks like the 3v3 fight between E8 and BR Demons might be ensuing here in just a moment. Over towards Thunderwatch. Complexity gets the res, and they're back to full. Complexity and TSM are literally right across kitty corner of this mountain. TSM with the opportunity to ape Complexity, but both teams might get punished if they do so.
And they've been looking at Complexity for the last 2 circles. That's the craziest part. TSM, E8, BR Demons, Complexity, ESA. 6 squads still remaining in this lobby, and Complexity are now getting dinged from behind. Now you see the Newcastle barrier is going to get unleashed, but he's stuck between himself and the Arcstar. Oh, great timing on the res right there with the gold knockdown shield. Not only are you going to get Lux up alive with some extra health, but he negated the damage from the Arcstar too.
And this is the benefit of Newcastle in these late games. You basically get free revives. Getting knocked doesn't mean a whole lot because the revive is so easy, especially with the gold knockdown shield to their name. Complexity right back to full. And immediately they're going to enter the fray. They're going to get some shots in. Nick Merckx gets down on your screen. So does GD. Tripod's eliminated in 4th. BR Demons eliminated in 5th. And now Complexity is going to make it rain with TSM right behind them, though. They have to ape, and they have to ape quickly. They get a knock, and TSM is just going to walk this in as all of this is going down, looking to go back to back. The black hole comes through. The nades follow, and just like that, TSM dominates in this game. What a showing from TSM. They go back to back like it's 2019 with a victory here in game number 3 on Storm Point. Kudos to TSM.
Who's sleeping on who, Fallout? Who is sleeping on who? TSM with the back-to-back wins. The first one, by the way, that we see all day across the 2 regions that we get to witness in this ALGS Pro League season.
There's something to be said, ladies and gentlemen, about the way TSM is playing, and not just a win in Game 2, an emphatic win in Game 3. And now it feels like they're sending a message. Remember that tweet earlier on? The path to the championship, to glory, they know how to walk it already. And that's what they're doing today, showing everyone what it's like to win and be on top. Fallout, Vicky, great cast there in Game 3, and it kind of set us up for a lot of different storylines to connect. And specifically, we saw a great moment from Complexity that didn't end up giving them the victory. I think I want to highlight that a little bit later. But, John, walk me through Complexity waking up a little bit and that kind of chaotic circle that ended up going in the hands of TSM.
Yeah, you know, Complexity has really thrived with this team comp. Playing Newcastle has worked out really, really well for them here on Storm Point. I think they're going to rock it on World's Edge as well. And ultimately, it was the Newcastle that kept them alive and got them a 2nd place finish right there and some kill points along the way. Any other team comp, they're toast. There's no way they survive all that pressure. But they took that risky, I wouldn't call it God spot because it was such a pressureful spot, but they're able to take that spot because they knew they had the cover of the Newcastle ultimate coming. They had the constant cues and tactical abilities of Newcastle to give them some additional shield. And ultimately the res is what kept them alive. But the biggest thing is TSM's positioning. I mean, Vicky, 2 games in a row, they find themselves in the best position in the game. They predict the late game circle and they rotate to a T. TSM's looking really, really sharp.
Yeah, they actually ended up doing the 50-50 rock hold that we were talking about before. Whether it pulled to the left or to the right, they still were able to make the decision from the high ground to approach into that next circle. They also continuously pressured Complexity that entire game. So Complexity knew that they were situated there, but Complexity had to make the difficult decision on their positioning, who they wanted to fully send it on, so that way they could at least secure some KP if they didn't end up winning the game.
I have to say, Cloud9 eliminated early on. That is not the start that they wanted here, especially in Game 3, but they're going to have halftime. They're going to have a map switch to be able to get their rhythm going. Another team I'm a little surprised at performance-wise is Dark Zero, John. I would have expected a little bit more. I'm sure fans of Dark Zero, with such success, you couldn't be higher coming into Year 3, would have hoped for maybe a little bit more to start out the season here.
Yeah, obviously a lot of Pro League left to play, and by all means, not discounting what Dark Zero was able to do at Split 2 playoffs and ALGS champs, but to be honest, they kind of stole the show at both of those events. I mean, both events, they were behind in the standings, but they were able to just be the first team to clutch up match point and capitalize on the match point format. So, you know, is Dark Zero the pound for pound most consistent point scoring best team in the game? Probably not. Are they the best at playing match point? Probably is. They've obviously been able to capitalize in the last 2 events. Ultimately, I want to see Dark Zero continue to showcase that they are an S-tier team here in North American Pro League. It's a step up from where they're competing in APAC South. Certainly not a bad showing so far, but hopefully we'll have a better World's Edge from them.
You know, and as we get to it, a big shout out to ESA as well. You know, Vicky, I'm sure you've seen these guys throughout all of Pro League, various different teams, Fury, Phony Head, you know, finding a way to kind of incorporate it here. They've had a lot of success, but I want to specifically highlight a little moment that we got to see, some cool Newcastle interactions in that late game. And we're going to bring up some tape. Vicky, you can help me go alongside with it. What happened here? What made this so special?
I mean, not only do we see them utilize the gold knockdown shield to negate the damage of the arc surge, they were getting a bunch of grenades hurtled in their direction while also playing at a disadvantage. Because again, they noted that there was TSM to their left side and a squad to their front, so they couldn't give off the ability to turn their backs to the squad that's uphill. They needed to press themselves against the rock, so that was a really good showcase of the Newcastle ult, kind of putting them in the corner with some makeshift cover.
All right, I'm super excited about it. I want to see these results. We've been talking a lot. Let's see what happened over on the leaderboard. We know TSM won. How big did they win? You know what? That's a pretty tame victory, but they got the job done. 18 points, 6 kills, nothing to slouch at, but you see Complexity actually having a better game in terms of kills, just couldn't turn it around in the final victory. TSM had the high ground and the better positioning there with the Horizon Ultimates. Shout outs to Esports Arena, shout outs to BR Demons, and G2 coming in with some strength there. Tripods, Dark Zero staying consistent around it, John. But overall, we see that top 10 look like a top 10 I think we would have expected heading into the start of today.
Yeah, that's right. Atlanta Premier, 13th place. They should maintain a top 3 positioning in the overall standings. We'll see in just a second. Fury with a really quiet game number 3. But the biggest thing I want to kind of speak to, Evan, is you mentioned TSM, not a overwhelming performance with kills, but that's kind of the TSM special. I mean, you've been casting them alongside me for a while, right? What works really well for them is find God spot, rotate early, get the best position in the game, and win consistently with first place 12-point finishes with 4 to 7 kills. The reason they struggled the last 6 months, or not struggled, but didn't win every single event like we're used to watching them do, is because they would do that, but they'd get like 4th through 7th place. They wouldn't get the placement points that they needed. The consistency is certainly helping them, but that's why you don't see them on top by 20, 30 points right now.
Vicky, talk to me about TSM. They're clearly heating up now, 8 points ahead of the rest of the lobby.
Although they are 8 points ahead of Atlanta Premier right now, holding that #1 spot, it's nice to note that they've been able to win these last 2 games while playing extremely patiently for final circle positioning. They haven't been getting the double-digit kill games where they win those games consistently because they would rather play this patiently, and I like this call from TSM, making the call whether it be the 50-50 in the middle of the rotate so that way they have the positional advantage, or how they're going to approach World's Edge. Are they going to take the same type of approach that they've left Stone Point with, winning these 2 games back-to-back? Game number 2, they won with 7 kills. Game number 3, we saw that they just won with 6 kills. It's that slow-paced game that has really worked out for TSM.
Yeah, and that's the thing I'm actually really highlighting as well, John, and I want to get your thoughts on this real quick. I'll bring it up, but can they keep this going into the next 3 games in World's Edge? That's my question.
Yeah, they're gonna run the same comp. You're gonna see them continue to roll with Seer, and I think they can. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's slow and patient for sure. And what's cost TSM a lot in the past is a slight misplays, getting a little impatient, trying to make unnecessary plays or do too much, which Verhulst has kind of been the victim of in the past. But right now they're making all the right plays and they're being smart. The fight against Tripods that we just saw a moment ago, they knew they had a third party, they knew they had a 3v2, and they took that. This fight right here, they don't put themselves in a bad spot. They play it really, really slow, wait till they get their advantage, and then take it. TSM is not playing super flashy necessarily, but they're playing very, very solid Apex right now.
And I'm also feeling that, like, from a meta standpoint, from a character standpoint, we talk about balance here and there in Apex Legends Esports. We like to keep it focused on the players and their stories. But when the nerf came to Horizon's Ultimate and you started having ordinances that you throw yourself, being able to destroy that black hole and also making it seem like, oh, well, this won't be as strong. It'll be still counterable. Even with the Newcastles and the Watsons, I'm just not seeing a well-orchestrated Horizon Seer push be stoppable in any form. And it feels like TSM are taking full advantage of that. They found their rhythm and their stride. It also gives me a little bit of information gleaning into, will we see Newcastle and Watson kind of make a mainstay, especially heading into the rest of today, or will people start to switch on more of the aggressive comps that we've seen win again and again and again in those final fights? So a lot to be determined here as we switch up to World's Edge, and I think that leads me to my next conversation here. What do we see as the adjustment heading into the next map? We know Atlanta Premier started strong. Will we see some changes with them? They kind of fell off a little bit in that final game. TSM, I think you're thinking, keep it up. Don't change a thing. Why would you? It's working. What are we thinking here heading into now our last 3 games of the day and of day 1 here, John?
Yeah, I think you're going to see a team like Energy with 2 or 3 or maybe 6 points now look to play a little bit more aggressive. I don't think they're going to change their team comp up. I think it's worked really, really well for them. They still have confidence that they are the best team in this lobby. Just didn't have a great storm point. I think they'll just play a little more aggressive, play for a bit more kills, and just try and get in a flow here a little bit. Ultimately, I think you'll see a little bit of Watson here on World's Edge, but this is, like I said at the beginning of the show, the same old cookie cutter. Seer, Valkyrie, and Horizon will be on display here in World's Edge. Vicky, you have any other thoughts? Do you agree?
I want to see Loba from Team Liquid come out again, because I feel like this is where they find the most success was with the Loba on World's Edge. Come on. I would love to see it. I don't think so either, because I believe we did hear Hotsig say that they wanted to go in a different direction. But if we still see Team Liquid stick to the Trials play, what are we going to see change up between these compositions? I am still expecting to see the Horizon come out, Horizon being such a strong pick in the NA region, the Seer still also being very profitable when it comes to finding all this information that you need for any third parties that may be in the area. But we also see the likes of G2 taking out the Bangalore, taking out the Bloodhound. Are we going to see that still into World's Edge? I'm wondering.
G2 have played pretty well. I mean, like I said, ESA, they've got a top 5 to prove it. They have been very consistent in these final circles, but I want to focus on a team that kind of started off strong. They didn't have a great game 3, but they have been a team to focus on. That is Atlanta Premier. Enemy, Hill, Crook, playing the Crypto Watson Valkyrie, one of our more unique compositions in today's lobbies. They have been one stellar performance after another. Can they keep it up? Will they keep it up, John? Your thoughts on Atlanta Premier and what they've done today and where they're going?
Yeah, I mean, they've been my most impressive team so far, mostly because it's not a team I think we would have expected to come in and dominate the way that they did, especially in those games 1 and 2. Consistent first 2 games, got caught right there and basically focused by the entire lobby, but ultimately have been playing really, really well. And I love the way that they're doing it. I like that we highlighted them because the Crypto Watson combination, I think they're the only crypto in the lobby, and it worked out really, really well for them. Yep. I think the Guard also runs that team comp, but they're obviously in Group C, so we're not seeing them today. Obviously, we saw a lot of crypto in EMEA, so I like to see some diversity come through and how Atlanta Premier is performing as their underdogs.
Thank you so much. Cannot wait to talk more with you, Vicky and Fallout. Take a little breather, though, because you got a couple more games, 3 more games to be exact, to finish off the day. North America is heated up. We've seen 3, and we've seen 2 of those get won by TSM. What will Game 4 hold? And we'll be on a new map as well. We'll find out in a moment. Apex Legends Global Series Monster Energy, your official energy drink for the ALGS. Let me tell you what, I could use a little Monster Energy right now. John, you got a couple of cans back there. Vicky, what about you? You know what? Listen, at LAN, who drinks more Monster Energy between the two of you? Because I think it's kind of even, actually. You two are literal monsters when it comes to drinking that thing.
Yeah, it's a problem.
He's
the two of us
adding
that mic together. I'm surprised that the Twitch server or the Apex server doesn't explode with energy because it is just bonkers. The two of us were wilding out at ALGS Champs. We're tearing signs, we're eating burgers, we're holding flags. It was a little too insane. But hey, Monster gets us the top of our game here. That's what I love about some caffeine going into casting Apex.
Yes, absolutely, Vicky. We'll talk about that. I want to get your thoughts on World's Edge, too, as we take a look at the maps. For those just joining us, that's where we're going now. Talk to me about the back half of this tournament. What's going to be the surprise people need to pay attention to? Any team you've got your eye on to kind of pick up their performance, or vice versa? Anybody that you think is going to slow down a little bit here?
I'm thinking here, maybe a slowdown from Furia. And I know that they're top 3 right now, even having Prodigy join into the lineup. And the reason why I say this is because Furia, even though I highlighted his Watson at the very beginning, his Watson aside here, let's put him aside because he's not playing with Furia today. I believe when it comes to World's Edge and some of these early fighting, they get punished really easily. And we've been seeing so many of these 50-50s already on Stormpoint. What 50-50s are we going to see here on World's Edge?
That is the question. I'm interested to see. And obviously we saw G2 with a consistent 50-50 against BR Demons. World's Edge usually is a little bit more calm in early games. Teams are not not as often to contest, but we will see if that's the case here. Take a look at the drop ship overhead map right now on display. Lava Siphon will get a little bit of extra loot. And the new TSM drop spot, no longer dropping Fragment East. They gave it up after years of dominating the east side of the Fragment town. TSM says, hey, let's alpha instead over towards Lava Siphon, and they've basically earned the entirety of Lava Siphon. The only team that contests is Sentinels, but since Sentinels stock really crashed over the last year, TSM was able to take it from them.
That's so funny for you to say that, Bala, because I remember you and I had talked about the Fragment East loot for so long that there was that bit of that ghost buff to help out the loot there, and now TSM is like, now, you know what, we want all the loot in Lava Siphon. And I don't even blame them, because not only do they get the loot in Lava Siphon, that's always so nice to see, they also have the potential chance of getting the beacon without having to split up their drop to go to No Name, where you currently see Gambit situated in with Sang and Blakeu, that's north on Overlook. So they have not only the beacon and No Name, but they got the beacon and Overlook too. So TSM taking a page out of that book in their safe POI of Lava Siphon before determining where they want to rotate.
That's right. On the flip side, Tripods getting the Skyhook drop. And they're going to have to split that with 2 other teams. A lot of times you see 2 teams total split Skyhook, but it's going to be Team Liquid, their notorious Trials and Skyhook West drop. You're going to have Team Stops and Go, the rookies, aka the bots, dropping North Skyhook, and then the Tripods dropping East Skyhook. So they'll split some loot. They also have a crafter to their name, which they'll be able to kind of occupy. And guess what? The zone's going to be pulling their way as well. It'll be a northern zone. Typically, these northern zones end up pulling towards Skyhook. So this is a really, really good zone and good start for the Tripods, for Team Liquid. And the fact that the Tripods are running Watson as well, they can get the best real estate in this lobby, and they could basically just bunker up with fences, and they'll be well set and well positioned for late game.
Yeah, it's also really good news for Furia too, that are rotating away from Countdown, away from the line of sight of Dark Zero, who are also already looking to skyward dive their way into Skyhook. That means that we're about to have, what, 5-6 teams already in Skyhook within the first few seconds of the game. Ring 1's going to be closing in 3 minutes and 50 seconds behind some of these players, but you can see how Tripods is already able to get a nice overlook of this left side of Skyhook, because it's going to be contested, and it's going to be contested fast.
You know, the controller players a little slow to loot compared to the mouse and keyboard players, and as a result, they might actually lose some of the best real estate, some of the best buildings here on the north side of Skyhook. Atlanta Premier is going to take one of them. Furia likely is already rotated, going to take another. Team Liquid will take another, but an early fight is going to ensue. Another crypto in this lobby is going to actually tag up all 3 members for all of their shields of the Atlanta Premier. They should be able to heal back up, and we'll see if a team decides to ape or push. It looks like Atlanta Premier will be posting up with Watson.
Right here.
I'm wondering who's going to take up the real estate that's north of Trials in that lot that is unclaimed by a lot of squads that like to hang out in Skyhook. I believe Furia may be rotating behind Trials, so they'll have to inevitably fight against a squad like Dark Zero, who wants to contest them after their Skyward dive. Atlanta Premier, though, have situated themselves with some free real estate inside of this building. With the Watson ult, they're going to be able to fence up the perimeter, as well as utilize Hill to boost up some of their Evo shields with the EMPs if they're looking to grief any of these teams.
Yeah, we'd love to do just a quick whip around of a couple other teams nearby. Not sure which team is ahead of them that's also running crypto. We know that the Team Liquid boys are probably in the vicinity. We know that the Tripods squad was probably able to take some real estate. Here we go. Love this whip around view. Not necessarily a Skyhook just yet, but instead we'll take a look as TSM finds himself trying to grief a team on rotate. Did they get a knock? No, not just yet, but a couple shots of damage done from TSM, who will be playing Edge here on rotation.
TSM taking their time to rotate on the outskirts. You see ESA over in Big Mod. See, there's no Optic in this lobby here, Fallout, so it's not Optic that are going to be able to claim all the good loot in Big Mod. Instead, it's going to be Esports Arena, so they're going to be able to walk away with some Big Mod guns before making the rotation into this next circle, but they will be playing on the outskirts right behind TSM, so they either going to slow rotate this, or they're going to have to deal with TSM circle keeping them on the outskirts of that next circle.
Yeah, that was really interesting. TSM actually doubled. Maybe they had intel we didn't know, or maybe they did their research, or maybe it's the coaching of Raven, but they double backed towards Big Mod and tried to maybe actually grief a few kills. That's kind of the Optic Gaming special. They are able to occupy this entire southeast side of the map and really use that as a way to take 3v3s on Edge without risk of getting third party. TSM trying to do the same thing against ESA, with Optic not in this lobby, but not able to get the kill points that they needed, so they'll be content just rotating through. TSM are going to continue to play Edge. Meanwhile, Dark Zero with a very fast rotation to the northwest side of the map. They'll take this northwest control tower, and with a charge rifle in the hands of Zero from Dark Zero, it's going to put them in a really, really good opportunity to make sure that no one can push behind them, and they will have a clear rotate to the north side of the map.
Oh, I love this position too, especially looking at the weapon loadouts that we see Dark Zero rocking, the charge rifle on the sniper tower, as well as making sure that they can clear some space for themselves, and the other squads are going to either be rotating from the back end of Trials or north in that lot that I was mentioning before, where I believe Furia is situated in. As we take a look at other squads making their rotation from the east side of the map, that's going to be E8, C9, Season. Now, with the Skyward Dive, looking to find some place to stay, some place to call home. They're going to get pinged, though, at the same time by E8, but they're going to have to divert their attention because it is C9 that is meeting them up in the north side of the train tracks.
Yeah, so we'll have an E8, C9, two-letter acronym fight in the north side of the map in train tracks. The rotate's going to come through. And back down towards Landslide, where we know a couple teams will be coming through. TSM, whether they took the Landslide rotate or Fragment West rotate, we'll find out. But nonetheless, there's going to be a couple teams coming from that side of the map. They'll have to be a little careful as we switch on over. And they work their way back up towards Skyhook. Do they get this building for free? Yes, they do. All right, not a bad situation here. For E8 on a relatively late rotate, they still find a good position.
Fallout, can we talk about this? Mercy, he's bringing out the Cuzzy, okay? He's bringing out the Fusey out here, and he's got the Massive in his hand as well that he managed to capture from a crate. So, they're rocking the composition that we were talking about before, that Raven wanted to see TSM rock before, but, you know, How came out on top from that 1v1, and it's obviously doing them justice looking at the last two wins that they've gotten. I mean, come on. Energy are playing out of the outskirts of that lot that I had mentioned, the no-name lot that is to the side of Dark Zero that Furia has taken over. Energy do like to play on the higher ground on the other side of these railroad tracks to get out of trouble, but this is a tricky one to play out of because you could expect other squads to try to take advantage to the underside of the train tracks, rotating through the north side of Skyhook. So Energy may find themselves in a fight if they're not too careful, which would be the green light for Furia to try to contest them.
Yeah, that's a good point. We got Energy, Furia, and Dark Zero within the vicinity of the northwest side of the map, northwesternmost side of the map. And we know that Dark Zero will be the ones manning the rear of the three caboose train. A couple shots and pings from Furia. That's probably Furia nearby. Based on rotates and drop spots, Furia drops countdown, is known to rotate really, really quick to the northwest side of the map. We'll keep an eye on some other teams here, but this will be a slow game. 20 squads still remain, and that's pretty common. Whenever you see a Skyhook finish, you're not going to see a lot of early game fights because everyone's pretty much able to find a position, and there's not going to be many forced fights. People can kind of just camp or post up in their respective buildings of Skyhook, so you don't see a lot of those early game fights on rotate that you'd expect otherwise.
Here we go. C9 though playing on the outskirts with Zach Mazer taking so much damage. C9 still playing off of only 2 blue evos while Zach Mazer is forced to reset with the Phoenix kit. They need that suppressed fire right behind them. As you can see, TSM are hearing the whiffs of the shots to their south, but they're not involved just yet. They may actually come in to sandwich C9, which is going to spell doom for C9 if they don't realize it.
Yeah, that could be really, really interesting. TSM nearby may enter the fray. On board now with Stay Naughty. And there's a big question. The same way that we wondered what type of impact Vice will leave in his absence of Alliance in EU is the question for Alberlelli in Cloud9. What type of impact did Alberlelli have? Was it Zach as the IGL or Alberlelli as the IGL that made the impact on this team? We'll have that question answered in this Pro League as FaZe Clan will play up against Cloud9 in our Group B versus C matchup coming up later this season. But for now, it's Group A versus B, and it's TSM on top with 40 points. They decide not to third party and rotate themselves back to the same spot that we know E8 was at nearby with the fuse on their hands. Reps still on Seer. No fuse and no 1v1-1 for Raven on World's Edge. We'll see if that changes, though, going into games 5 and 6 if they don't do well here.
It's back to the lab again, all right? And TSM are just going to be able to be patient. I like the call on the disengage, though, at the very end, not trying to put themselves in a vulnerable position when they have information on where the circle is going to be pulling. So why not utilize that? Why not take advantage of that? With Verholz getting that scan for the rest of the squad, you can see the ping coming down before they determine how they want to rotate into this next circle. Because there's still so many squads that have taken up the building real estate on the left side of Skyhook. I mean, I'm even expecting James, Fearless, and Co. to actually take control over that beacon building, as you can see right there.
Yeah, as we have the overhead map, looks like we do have a Loba. We just saw Black Market on display, so one team is running Loba. Not sure which squad it is. But you got your wish, girl. We got a little Loba on World's Edge. Is it TL? Did TL go Loba?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I really would not be surprised because they tried out the Loba on World's Edge before, but they shifted away from it during LAN. They didn't feel comfortable because they knew that everyone was going to know it was them, and they didn't want to get isolated because of that. But maybe because they've been finding that success with the Loba, they've been feeling a little bit more comfortable with it. We're just going to have to see and wait.
I'm just so confused. How did TSM manage to just waltz their way into center zone? You see the top left. This is where the zone's going to be closing in on. It's the next zone. We get the beacon info. They just walk their way into the zone and a decent building in position. Obviously, this building is one of the most susceptible buildings because the windows are not enclosed, but that's insane. That TSM just rotated for free right there.
Hey, we take it. Take the 5-finger discount real quick when it comes to these rotations, as Stay Naughty has got to reset real quick. C9 also taking a very patient approach, but it is nice to note with the circle pulling towards Furia, towards Energy, these two teams stay being on top and calling out where the circle is going to pull. It could have pulled towards Dark Zero by the sniper tower. We have seen end circles end on that side of Trials, but with it pulling on the absolutely other side of Trials, now Dark Zero could claim Trials. Furia could still stay in that real estate empty lot that is south of Energy, and teams like C9 are going to have to go for a longer and wider rotation in the line of sight of other squads that are already inside these buildings.
It's almost like TSM paved the way for them as they're just following the same exact path and route that TSM had moments ago. But guess what? TSM did it first. So they have themselves the position is there, I think, in the building right in front of them, or at least nearby. C9 not in zone as it currently stands, but should be fine. They got a minute to get themselves there. But this might be our first fight of the game. The fact that we are like, what, 15 minutes into the game and still haven't had a single person die. No one has died. 60 players alive in this lobby. Tell me this is a Skyhook finish without telling me this is a Skyhook finish.
That, and you could tell like everybody feels at home right now on World's Edge. The way that they're all approaching this next circle, despite not even having a building themselves. You see C9 taking some pressure, but like you said already, 20 squad's still up and alive, and we may have just cast a curse Bowser because he does get dropped, but he doesn't get finished just yet.
Level 3.
And this zone is most likely going to continue pulling northwest. So the teams that rotated far north predicted correctly. And the reason I say that is because I see NRG and Furia there, and they're very good at predicting these late game zones. They obviously had a chance to pick their sweet spot. Meanwhile, so many teams are clumped in Skyhook. It is traffic upon traffic right now. It's like the rush hour in Chicago here, 4 p.m. on a Friday. Right? With C9 getting some damage at least. Some damage is done. No one's knocked yet, but some damage has been done here in this game.
Yeah, you know, it is a Sunday here, but C9 looking to see some fireworks landing right in front of them. I mean, they had that player land in front of them, and they find Impulse, a dirty Impulse.
We did it.
The first player to drop in this lobby, right? 59 players still up and alive, which means Impulse's squad is still looking to survive until the very end. Maybe they could get his banner, maybe they could get him right back in this fight, because there's still that beacon available to them right next door.
All right, well, hey, first kill comes through. One player eliminated as round 4 starts. Let's jump into a listen to know with Cloud9 as Rocker's gonna get knocked. They're under some duress.
Fight. I got nades there, good nades! Great nades! Go up if you want. Go in zone, in the zone, bro. Chill on him. No.
What?
Bro.
Tilted and frustrated right now. I don't know what to say.
We don't have to be out.
Tilted and frustrated. If that doesn't define the Cloud9 vibes right now, I don't know what does. You hear it directly from them.
It's the back and forth of the elevator comms to, like, disheartening comms. That's what does it for me. Rack Attack, though, now with Rakinishu being the last one alive, looking to see, he did recover Impulse's banner, but has not been able to recover Bowser's banner. Let's see if he is going to be able to do that, to see if maybe he could get them both right back in the fight. He is going to be able to get that banner, but he gets scanned in the process.
Yeah, he's going to have to use his ultimate to give himself a hope. What's so crazy about that, this is why you love Apex, that was a 2v3, Vicky. They knocked Impulse and killed Impulse right away. Rocker gets knocked, I'm not sure why or how, but basically for free, which makes it a 2v2, and ultimately Naughty and Zach are not able to win that 2v2. Zach was ultimately left in a 1v2, so it wasn't really on him, but it was Rocker that got caught out. Okay, we didn't see what happened, but you can't lose 2v3s here in the ALGS Pro League at this level of play. Those are two costly mistakes.
Especially when they took their time to rotate into that circle, right? We see Season now in some trouble themselves. Now taking control over the high ground. 0 for 0. Look at this. Lighting up the sky for some of these other squads to get involved. The squad that is holding on to that sniper building in the middle of Skyhook gets to see an overhead of some of the other teams that are forced to rotate into that next circle, like E8 playing off the low ground. None of these squads want to poke their heads, though, while the Zero is out and active. So a nice patient approach, while Season are going to just be able to redeploy out of there.
Here comes a redeploy from Season. And this is, again, always a scary late-game redeploy because every other team is doing the same exact thing. You see two or three other teams in the skies. Will you find a suitable position is the question. They find a fence, they find low ground, and they're alive in zone right now without a Watson to their name, though, which is a bit scary. They don't have a lot of defense here, Vicky.
They don't, and they're tossing out these arc stars. It's also a nice little check to see if the Watson ult is active inside of the building, and it is, so they are going to be able to delete that real quick. Nice little peek of information for Klein, who also has been having a dominating performance today. Let's not forget what Klein did to NRG in game number 1, as now the Crypto EMP comes in. Wait a minute, the Watson fences are still up. It was their EMP that manages to now put in some extra pressure to the Season. Now they're forced to wrap around the building, but they're in the line of sight of other squads that are in the area, but they're so busy fighting all these other teams. E8 complexity as Klein gets that knock.
Yeah, it's absolute beams from Klein. He's able to get the kill for free. G2 gets taken out to the hands of TSM, who I believe are all still alive and well. 12 squads remain. This is what happens in these late game zones. You go from 20 teams to 11 so quick. NRG gets a few as well. Oh my gosh, Klein is not missing right now. The black hole comes and Klein says, I'm out, but he gets sucked right back in. Somehow able to survive, but no, he's finally gonna get knocked. All of Mr. Hockey Low, goodbye. See you later. Enemy with the 3K. Huge plays from Atlanta Premier and Enemy.
Atlanta Premier have been here since the very beginning. Let's not forget when they originally skyward dived to get onto this building. They had the EMP, so they had the information as well as the extra pressure, and now they know that there's still that squad that's trying to reset to the right. Enemy, though, now finding the beamage real quick. Atlanta Premier looking to continue their domination after exiting out of Storm Point.
I just gotta take a moment to say, welcome to the ALGS Enemy. the young teenager, Mexican-American rookie, potentially of the year if he can keep up this performance for the entirety of Pro League, is showing up big time today. Atlanta Premier in second place right now behind TSM, looking to take back the first place spot. But Enemy is going to have to do it on his shoulders. Right now, Team Smiley, Gambit, and Song, last two alive, will take themselves some high ground and will enter the fray, but the scan's going to come through. All the intel is had for Seer. Nice use of the thermite right there to break ice for Gambit, but he is going to be tagged up.
Oh, he managed to get some cover at the very least, so that way he could reset, maybe get that res at the same time. But Atlanta Premier, they're not holding on to the brakes anytime soon. They're still trying to fully send it in as Hill is forced to back off just a little bit to pop that shield bat. Here comes Crook to change spots with him, though. You see the crack immediately onto that horizon. The Valkyrie also cracked. They need to look to their backs of the squads that are now trying to desperately rotate outside of the circle.
They're looking so good right now, kind of like KCP last series in EMEA. They're playing together incredibly well. TSM all alive and well as well. Meanwhile, there's about 7 or 8 teams left in this lobby. Make it 7. VR Demons eliminated. TSM with the beams. The team firing is going to come through. Tripods are out in 8th. It all comes, in 7th. It all comes down to this TSM fight. The Horizon ult's going to come through, and it's going to be perfection. What a good ult from NRG, griefing TSM.
NRG are looking to still dominate, but the repositioning, though, with the mask. You can see Nathan backing away as he is literally one-shot popping the shield back. Sweet, though, isn't going to let loose. He's right alongside Guild. Remember, the side-by-side between both these players, the follow-ups as they clean up TSM. Bots is going to meet them right back in the lobby, and we got 4 squads left. Dark Zero getting involved with NRG right to their right.
Atlanta Premier is one of them. The new kill leader is Enemy with 5 or 6. They are dominating, but NRG needs a pop-off game, and they're getting exactly that. 3 kills as a team, and they're looking to take home a first-place finish. 3 squads remain. I think Atlanta Premier is one of them, alongside Dark Zero and NRG.
See what they end up doing. The NRG holding onto the high ground right now. Dark Zero losing out on Jen. Still members of Dark Zero up and alive with 3 squads remaining, like you were mentioning before. They get taken out. Now Energy Sweep playing up on the back end. What is Energy gonna do against a squad that is rotating outside of Skyhook?
Yeah, it's going to be, I think Atlanta Premier is the last squad here. They're, oh my god, what a nade. What 2 nades from Nathan. Such good damage. And that'll be a cleanup. NRG with 6 points after 3 games drops a 20-plus point game, I believe. A massive showing from NRG here in this one. We got to bring Rain Day back to break down the action, but wow, what a game from NRG.
I know I can't be the only one, especially in the chat. NRG, welcome to year 3. We've been waiting for a moment like that. We finally got it. Once they wiped TSM, it was all in the books from there, especially in that final fight, taking Dark Zero out of it. And then they had that Newcastle wall. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way Atlanta Premier are climbing up that hill and somehow beating NRG on the tear that they're on. We saw it at TwitchCon when Hal and Sweet were paired together and Reeds. When you have momentum with Sweet as an IGL, John, it's nearly unstoppable. This is one of the highlights of what Apex Legends Esports brings to us, moments like this, and it's great to see NRG finally back on top of a lobby.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, the highs are so high for Sweet and NRG. The lows are obviously a bit low as well. So much rides on that one player. I think more than any other team, it rides on Sweet, and obviously he was popping off there with some great comms. NRG, as I kind of personally expected, I thought they were going to have a bounce-back game. They certainly did. This is the 2v2 fight, and I don't understand what happened, what made it a 2v2, but C9 loses a 3v2 overall, and that's just tough. That's a tough finish there, Vicky, for C9.
I know, they were trying to play through the knockdown shield as well as the dome as best as they could, but C9 thought that they could come out on top, but unfortunately they were cut short with some of that split focus fire that they weren't really expecting. NRG, though, before that game, I think overall they were ranked 17th in the group leaderboard, so this is a game that they absolutely needed, because after that game 4, we only got 2 games left to work with.
And that was why it was so important that they pick up the pace now. You're exactly right, Vicky. Time is of the essence, but TSM still looking good. Liquid still found themselves in the top 4, and I think that's a strong sign for Dark Zero that they were 3rd in this lobby, despite not being in the great position to defend against the onslaught of NRG. Atlanta Premier, though, coming in 2nd, to me, that is the biggest story. Wow. When you look at a team that we didn't expect to be here, even though NRG take 1st place, Atlanta Premier almost tie them in points. That is how well they've played, Vicky.
Yeah, it's super nice to see with a double-digit kills for Atlanta Premier that they still remain on top, because even though TSM took that spot over them before this game had started, Atlanta Premier is right behind them before this game, overall in 2nd place with 32 points. Now securing 20 extra points above TSM is going to skyrocket them in the overall leaderboards.
John, talk to me about the rest of this team. Bottom 20, obviously not a place you want to be, but still some signs of life for a few of these teams with 2 games left.
Yeah, you know, again, I think it was Naughty or maybe it was Major that said it the best for C9. Tilted and frustrated is the day for C9. Sometimes that happens though. You just got to go next. Not necessarily Cloud9's day. We'll see how they'll bounce back in games 5 and 6. They need a pretty big performance here. Complexity, quiet on World's Edge after showing some good signs on Storm Point. They only take 1 point home, and G2 as well with a 11th place overall standing with 3 points to their name. So we'll see how they will fare and bounce back going into this one. Furia, despite rotating early, didn't get good positioning either, so that's 2 games in a row without great performance, and that just goes to show the importance of his Watson on this team right now.
You know, John, I also want to give a shout out to Vicky there. She said which team is going to kind of take a downhill approach now after being on high. She mentioned Furia. That's exactly right. Exactly what happened here in game 4. Yep. Here's how it all stands after 4 in North America of our first day of year 3. Atlanta Premier are on top. Would you believe it? TSM, they've won 2 games and they're in 2nd place. That is showing you how good of a day Atlanta Premier are having overall. Clearly for me, I mean, MVP could be going to a player on Atlanta Premier. Team Liquid, NRG, and Tripods rounding out 5th spot. So I want to head to you, John. I mean, talk to me about the top 5. Obviously, Atlanta Premier deserving of being in that first spot, but also Tripods on the flip side, a team that we didn't expect, and I think a lot of people at home were doubting would make it into the top 5. They can hold on to that placement at the end of today. That would be a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, what's so crazy about the standings right now, though, Rain Day, is NRG was in like 14th place and had a massive game, and now they're in 4th. That's how distributed these points are. And talk about the way that NRG did it. You got to take a look at the highlights here. Gilderson's at the last game of Storm Point, showing why he's so good with that bolt in his hands and absolutely beaming. NRG has come into life here these last 2 games, and particularly this last game. We know that highs are so high for them. We know that they're capable of those pop-off games, and they had one, Vicky.
Yeah, and it's really nice to see that they were able to also play extremely patient on the end, where they were sharing a little bit of that real estate by the train station, rather the train tracks right next to Furia, like we were mentioning before. These 2 teams, as well as Dark Zero, actually had gotten that early positioning in that final circle, but Energy cleaned up the KP while everybody was being funneled outside of Skyhook.
Yeah, and I love the competition that's going on between 2 teams that have been back and forth. When it was preseason, the big move from Liquid, Gilderson's joining NRG. Not everybody was happy about that. Nocturnal, Fun FPS, Hot Take, they didn't quite enjoy the way it happened, how quickly it happened. Felt like they were left out with not too much notice to really make a change and get ready for the season after what they felt was a strong, promising start. But it felt to Gilderson's and NRG that this was just the fit. This was the pick. They had to do it if they were going to get on top. That is a promising sign. You need a moment like that, going from day 0 and checking it out in the scrims to day 1 and actually putting the work down in front of an audience. They certainly have done that. Guys, we're about to get into game 5. I can't believe it. 2 more games left. Atlanta Premier, they're on the board for me. That's got to be, you know, my highlight of the day, the way that they have performed. And John and Vicky, I know you guys are going to jump into cast in just a moment, but quick thoughts on just your highlight of the day, game 5. Are we going to see a repeat of NRG, John? What do you think?
Yeah, I think Energy's going to stay performing well these last 2 games, but hey, quick highlights for me on the day. It has to be Atlanta Premier. You got to give respect where respect is due. Obviously, TSM performing as well, but AP, a team that no one would have expected to be sitting in first place after 4, they're performing incredibly well, and Enemy is really the standout player in my eyes. Vicky, what about you?
Gotta agree with you right there. Enemy has been able to pop off on Atlanta Premier, been cleaning up most of the KP, but I gotta say, with the way that TSM has been trying to prioritize their positioning, I am gonna expect them to take at least 1 more game before we close out the day here in NA. Keep your eyes out for TSM, because they're looking to claim another one, aside from those other 2 that we saw them claim on Storm Point.
All right, you've heard it from our commentators. It's now time for them to do their thing. Game 5, day 1 of year 3, North America getting close as we head into our penultimate game of the day. Vicky, Kitty, Fallout, take it away.
Teed up perfectly from Rain Day. Game number 5. The stakes are certainly high as we have Tripods in 5th with 25. All the way to a team, I can't remember who it was, in 11th or 12th or 13th with like 21. That's how distributed these points are. So again, that would be a really solid day for the Tripods. Coming through, top 5 finish, they get some great Pro League placement standing points. But if they don't perform in game 5 and 6, alongside every other team really in that top front page threshold, they're going to end up with a 13th, 14th, or 15th place spot. That's the game you love to see in the standings you love to see going into a game number 5, Vicky.
Yeah, to follow up on that too, Fallout, I mean, aside from TSM and Atlanta Premier being on the top end of those overall leaderboards, those top 10 squads are so close together with overall points. This 5th game, I said it before and I'll say it again, is going to be able to determine so much of the pacing of how these squads want to play, because just in this last game that we just saw, we saw 20 squads with all full members still alive until that Circle 3. I'm expecting things to kind of get much more faster for these teams.
Looks like we will have another central zone here. So last one was very far north. This one's going to be central. And maybe the third game will be south. We'll get a little bit of diversity across the board here. NRG dropping over towards staging where they normally drop. Will find themselves some loot early on. Your champions from last game looking to go back-to-back here, much like TSM did in games 2 and 3. We'll see if NRG can do the same here in World's Edge. Meanwhile, a couple important stories here. We mentioned Tripods in 5th. Taking a look at the standings overall, NRG's right above them in 4th, and the same thing kind of stands. They had one pop-off game, but one pop-off game is not enough. You got to be consistent here going into games 5 and 6 if you want to secure yourself a top 5 finish in the Pro League standings, Vicky.
Yeah, absolutely good point there too. With Energy rotating away from staging, they have a good amount of loot to work with, as well as different POIs that they want to rotate to, depending on where the circle is going to be pulling. I mean, they're right next door to that circle too, so with them having the advantage rotating through Harvester, I'm wondering if there is a beacon in that direction that they can utilize, so that way they can make their next move. But you know how quick the Sweet especially is with it when it comes to these rotations, so you can see them already getting ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Central zone we mentioned. Will the zone pull north or south is the question. We'll see if someone can get some beacon info for us, and we'll get that intel here in a moment. But for now, all we know is this will be a 50-50, basically draw a map split down the middle of the zone of the draw a line, split down the middle of the map type of zone and type of finish here, as NRG are ready looting over to Landslide. Love to take a look at some other teams, see where they're faring, where they're landing. Just a quick heads up for y'all in terms of drop spots. We know last game Tripods did drop over in Skyhook, but we do know we have a couple of central zone drops here in this as well. We have three teams that are dropping in Fragment. Expect them to maybe fight early.
Yeah, with Landslide being already contested off the rip, we saw currently Atlanta Premier rotating out of this position into the tunnel that leads into Fragment, so they're already on the quickness with the rotation if they can get on the high ground south of Fragment, which would deny a lot of opportunities for teams landing south of Lava Siphon to try to rotate through those choke points. I'm looking at complexity. Even TSM that land Lava Siphon, who have a beacon, so they have control over where that circle is going to be pulling, as well as G2 rotating all the way from Thermal Station. So Atlanta Premier taking the time real quick. We got to say hi to Rain Day sometimes here too, so that way you can get excited about these games. As Atlanta Premier are looking to move into this next circle, they are holding on to that southern side of Fragment East. This is, again, a squad that we definitely need to keep our eyes on because they've had one kick of a day.
Yeah, Atlanta Premier dropped Landslide, so it's going to be an early and fast rotation from them. 52 points to their name. They're going to do a good job just kind of clearing this building. No seer, so they can't get that intel as to whether or not a team is here. And it looks like they're just going to do it the old-fashioned way, walking their way right through. And if this is indeed a Fragment finish, which these teams are predicting, oh wow, does this mean a great opportunity here for Atlanta Premier to have another big game? Watson in this building, one of the best buildings to take because all of the windows are going to be concealed or closed. You're not going to get damaged from afar if you're on high ground. Meanwhile, Cloud9 needs a really, really big game. We'll see if they can get it.
You can see them taking some shots already from a distance by No Name. They also have the information of the beacon at Overlook, so that's great news for them because that is their POI before deciding to get aggressive at some of these squads that are rotating in a direction. Looks like Zach is being wary to their sakes for any of the squads that are rotating behind them. Don't think there's any squads directly behind them, but the likes of Tripods could easily swap up their rotation from Survey Camp into Epicenter, so that's something to note for C9 if they do decide to still hold this side of the circle.
Yeah, C9 drops in Climatizer. I don't believe they had a replicator in Climatizer, so they actually made use of the Overlook replicator instead. We'll craft up. Another quick look at Rain Day. We just love him so much. We got to keep showing that beautiful, beautiful smiling face of his as we'll take a look at Cloud9. Looting up, getting themselves some shield bats, and getting themselves ready for late game.
You can't ever have enough bats, as I always say. Give me all the bats here for C9. Or exactly, or enough Rain Day, of course. Always got to show them a little sneak peek of what's to come after the games here. But first, we gotta see what's going on with teams like C9, who are gonna be taking their time over by this replicator. There are some squads that are contesting Epicenter, which is nice to note, with a choke point already going in favor for TSM. I believe Dark Zero is off to their left in the other choke point, and this is what I was mentioning before. When it comes to some early rotates, it can be detrimental, because then the likes of Atlanta Premier, who've already taken up the real estate, don't get caught in the middle of these rotations where TSM and Dark Zero are going to be.
The game read a little bit. It's fun seeing TSM in the new drop spot. It was pretty much a month or two after ALGS Champs when they signed Raven that TSM said it's time to leave Fragment East. The Ninja nerfs that came through, Fragment East got nerfed, no patch notes, nothing kind of followed that really nerfed them overall. And that hurt them. And Sweden split 2 playoffs in the ALGS Champs, so they leave Fragment East, and instead they drop over in Lava Siphon and tweeted out a giant circle as C9 gets a kill, gets a squad wipe, big squad wipe of a rack attack. But they basically tweeted out a giant circle of Lava Siphon and said, "This is where we're dropping. I dare you to contest us." And since then, not many have.
Hey, it's a statement that needs to be made here too, because not only do they get great loot at Lava Siphon, they also get the ability to get where that next circle is going to be with the information that they can work off of that beacon. So Esports Arena also making an appearance already over by Overlook. I don't believe this is where the circle is going to be pulling. I do think this is going to start pulling more so to the north side of Fragment, but it's always nice to hug the circle of the of this next circle, as you can see what C9's doing. But watch out, Rocker, you are in the clear line of sight of ESA. You don't want to get caught off guard when you don't have your gravity lift.
Yeah, that's right. It's ESA going to be encroaching on this fight. Here comes the push. They're actually borderline aping. They take high ground on these cylinders. C9 right below them. And this is a fairly clean 3v3. Not a whole lot of teams nearby. TSM actually hears the fight and might enter as well. But stuck in zone right now is C9. They're going to have to work their way around and try and survive. A good job by C9 to at least extend their life for now. But an even better job by ESA basically taking map control here.
Yeah, that slight mispositioning from Rocker allowed ESA to feel very confident. And like you mentioned, TSM was already in the area, so they might actually get put into a position where they could sandwich C9 and then ESA could finish things off. We're gonna have to wonder, because you could expect ESA to definitely get involved in this fight no matter what. Zach Major actually gets taken down already, and this is what we're mentioning. How getting the better end of the deal right now is 2 members of C9 to get taken out.
Oh no, we mentioned TSM might be looking a third party nearby, and that's exactly what happened. TSM immediately turns back and makes sure that they're not getting third party as well. Good job by TSM. Textbook clearing the way and making sure that they can reset back to full, which is exactly what they'll do. Imperial Hal with purple shields, and they're going to look to level up those evil shields. 79 more damage for reps, I believe it was, and he'll be at purple as well. Will they take that last member of C9 and maybe decide to take the fight against ESA is the question. Something tells me they'll play a little more passive as we take a look at Furia.
It all really depends on how Stay Naughty also stays alive too, because with so many of these other teams just playing Seer, they're gonna know that Stay Naughty is still there. But if ESA stay in this area, you can expect TSM to stay in. C9 does finally get eliminated, so I believe that is ESA that continuously pressures them out. Maybe TSM cleaning them up, as Furia are gonna take to the skies with the Skyward Dive. They're gonna be seeing a lot of the heads that are underneath them that have already made their way over through Epi. I believe that is going to be Vayne and Reeds and Aiden, so they are on the outskirts of Epicenter, while Furia just want to get that information so that way they can determine if the north side of this rotation is clear for them.
Yeah, Furia rotating through. There were all types of rumors flying around Twitter last night. I even got baited that Panders was getting dropped and replaced.
I saw that.
Not true. Yep, I got baited, as confirmed. But I will spread absolute blasphemy and rumors. Everyone tweeted out, his Watson got dropped, picked up by Prodigy Aces. No, I'm just kidding. I'm trolling.
Oh,
They're
no.
tuning in and wondering why is his Watson not playing in this lobby. He's being played instead by a substitute in Prodigy. I know he recently moved. Congratulations to Watson, by the way. What a remarkable story.
Yeah.
He lived in a trailer park in Arkansas and is now overnight become one of the biggest streamers in Apex Legends and top pro players. And I think just moved out of that trailer park. So congratulations on being a homeowner now to his Watson. And I believe that might be why he's not playing. I don't know if that's the official word, but Prodigy Aces is just a substitute. Don't worry. Watson isn't going anywhere as the mainstay of this Furia roster. But hey, let's take a look and listen in with Furia, see how they decide to play this, and see how they're faring with Prodigy.
Get on this heady over here. We gotta be careful that Tino's in gas though behind us.
Yeah.
It's a good spot on me if we need to just chill.
They know I'm stuck down here. You need to try to like shoot them off if you can.
60 on one.
He's still up there.
Right.
Alright, the bat.
There, come on. Go ahead and go up. Come up.
Watch this rock, okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. 45 them. All right. No, we're vibing. They literally can't do shit, and they're gonna get walked up on eventually. So
we need to be careful about our backside.
We have a health pad or no?
I have a mech just ranges.
Fine.
All right, taking a just quick listen to Furia on how they decided to play this. They have to watch their back. A couple teams nearby. Meanwhile, G2, are they still running Bloodhound? Is my question I wanted to see. I see Seer on their team. Here comes the fight. G2 versus the BR Demons. It continues the battle of these two rivals.
Oh my goodness, Reed's got deleted after that gravity lift right now. The trade for trade though, as Chaotic also gets taken down, as Designful is looking to continue his domination. Aiden also managed to get results, so that just leaves Designful up and alive. Now with the reset coming in from BR Demons, he needs to try to capitalize. Vayne also getting pinged from behind. He does manage to pop the shield battery, but isn't enough as Designful is now moving in with the Bloodhound. Great grenade, but it isn't gonna be enough. That grenade coming in from Jet, by the way, that's Tripods about to make an appearance right now on BR Demons.
Are they flying at this? A great nade from Gent. Do they have the intel of the damage that was done? They have a Seer, so they'll get it soon. Looks like the Tripods want to enter this fight, and they're going to do so through Storm. Good damage being done. The Storm's not taking them for that much. All three members of the BR Demons are up, but they're down to 2 HP, literally.
Oh.
But the Tripods decide not to take the fight. They didn't know what we knew, obviously. And instead of aping, which could have gotten them 3 kills, they slow play this. They get another knock on Aiden.
I like this call though from them because they saw that there was another squad making an appearance for this fight, another squad that got whiff of the fight, and guess who it is? It was Energy originally, who have now backed up. All the squads that wanted to engage on this third party just respected BR Demons and have backed up, and Tripods are now getting pinged while they're playing off the disadvantaged position of the low ground of Epicenter. So Nick has to reset with the shield battery, and they have to just run it again. Understand that there's going to be another opportunity for them to potentially gatekeep BR Demons if they get to that circle first.
Yeah, you know, obviously they don't know what we know. In retrospect, what was the best play? I think aping and getting those kills. You get the immediate reset, you get the shield swaps, the G2 loot boxes are there. Would have been a better scenario for the Tripods. They could have gotten themselves 3 KP and then potentially won the fight against NRG right after. But again, hindsight is 2020, and they didn't have the intel of how damaged that the BR Demons were, and that the fact that there were G2 loot boxes like we did. So in the end, they decide not to push. We'll see how that ends up working out for them, as they're gonna have to make a rotation with Furia nearby, NRG nearby, and the BR Demons still alive.
Very scary here for the Tripods to work around, because who's meeting them on the other side of the circle is going to be Furia. Meanwhile, you have the likes of ESA, TSM playing this incredibly slow on the outskirts of this ring, or taking some real estate in no man's land. So a lot of these teams already getting the good prediction on where the circle is going to be pulling, which is slightly to the east of Fragment East, which is that open area that will allow the squads that have the overhead on top of that hill close to the respawn beacon to have a nice advantage. But look at the Tripods, they are creeping forward. They're hoping that Furia won't be able to find them if they have the Seer on the other side. They're taking this gamble, Fallout.
I spy a wee little rabbit. Nick Merckx and the boys finding a quick and silent rotation, dropping a Valcult. Let's jump into it. Oh my gosh, no, they just missed their Valcult opportunity. Let's jump into a listen in with the Tripods, see how they play this.
Saw me. They saw me.
Alright,
we can slide now, maybe jump through this.
Team on the left. Alright, chill out here. Move right. Swing around. Nothing on our right. Keep moving right.
I'm watching your head. I'm watching your head.
We stay here 2 for a second. I have Valcult in 13%, Jake.
70 blues.
Alright, we'll save the Valcult. Wait for Valcult. That's my last bet. No, that's my bad call.
Crack Valk, blue.
Nice.
We're okay. They're fighting on our right as well.
Right.
I have 4 cells of here. Take my Phoenix kit.
Alright.
I have Altic cells.
No, he has his ult back.
Okay.
Yeah, I have.
What's this team in front doing? Are they still peeking?
They were right on this iceberg right here.
They're not there. Move up. I think they backed off.
Watch your right.
There's a guy there.
Right. Move up. Move to me. There's no one in front. People on the bridge.
Okay.
Look left of the bridge. One's on the roof.
Anybody on the side? I guess.
Yeah, they're on that roof. Moving right. I'm gonna look to our right and see if we can rotate.
Okay, we have to Valcult this maybe.
Mate, keep walking up. Come with me. Come around this way.
I'm coming with you. Come on, Deeds.
Come this way.
Yeah, I'm coming. I'm coming. Right behind you guys.
Team in front of us. We might have shots here.
They're gonna peek.
Heavy on horizon, blue.
Nice.
No angles.
Get shot my ass or something?
30.
No, it's in front. Don't zero.
87, crack.
Drop that right.
No, I can't. That side. They're dropping. Nick, you have.
I just gotta run.
They're chasing me.
And the tripods go down in 15th place. That's only one placement point. Again, you needed a consistent game 5 and 6 from them to stay in the top 5. Been a really good showing for them so far. It'll come down to their game 6 for them as they get taken out to the hands, I believe, of Furia. Furia nearby, making their rotation. 10 seconds left. 14 squads remain. And guess what? Enemy from Atlanta Premier is still popping off.
And look at this, TSM as well in a fight, playing around the other end of the rock currently, wondering who's on the other side. As TSM gets beamed, it's only up to How to come in clutch with this, and he comes out on top, but it's another squad in his line of sight. Complexity moving outside of the truck that they built the real estate in. Look at this perimeter. He literally painted this entire truck like he is Picasso out of a book right now, because he is making sure everybody knows that he is here. Complexity have taken up this building, or rather this truck, since the very beginning on the outskirts of where TSM was fighting. And TSM were taking their time. So TSM now going down. Complexity have nothing to worry about to their left. Minus, I believe, Crook and Enemy actually that are trying to rotate their way in that other side. As well as ESA on the other end of where their truck is.
Could this be the pop-off game from Complexity that they need to catapult into the top 3? So far, off to a solid start. 2 kills to their names, 8 squads remain, and they can need to secure a top 2 finish here if they want to break into the top 3. Meanwhile, we know TSM out. NRG, Furia, Team Liquid, I believe, all still alive. Look at the Watson fences and the Newcastle ultimate. TL has themselves ultimate defense here for now.
With Team Liquid, though, having this high ground, this is the high ground that I really wanted to see teams take advantage of. But right above them is also Furia and ESA. Look at the beamage with the G7, and you got the gold light mag. I mean, that is beautiful. Furia, though, they're looking to creep up. They're looking to have an opportunity right now, while Team Liquid is so fixated on what's happening in front of them.
And the Searless comp from Team Liquid means they have no idea that Furia is there. It's going to be the most free flank for Furia, I believe, unless TL knows something that we don't. The scan comes through. Do they actually have a Seer in their team alongside Newcastle and Watson? I didn't know that was a comp, but it might indeed be.
ESA revealed their location. Oh, they griefed Furia's plan and go right behind Team Liquid, and now they're gonna get stuck in the middle. Furia are gonna be in a lot of trouble. It's just free real estate for Team Liquid to just beat them from behind. Furia give up on the high ground. They try to dive it onto ESA. ESA have soiled the plans. Was it worth it for Furia? I think not. Now Team Liquid have all the free KP while they remain on the high ground on top of them.
Plus the refresh and loot. Team Liquid on high ground right now with a Newcastle ultimate, and the ability to head glitch for free gives them the advantage in this. Let's see where the zone's going to pull here, but Monsoon going to get a knock on Sweet right after, though. It's going to be NRG getting a knock as well, so it looks like Complexity, Team Liquid, and the push comes through. It's one last member alive. The BR Demons and Atlanta Premier out.
Huge here with Atlanta Premier finally getting taken out, while Team Liquid still goes uncontested. That's Energy also getting taken out. Team Liquid's composition coming true, coming to fruition as they look to continuously add in the beamage with this G7 Scout.
And who is it? Atlanta Premier are going to take out NRG, cementing their first place spot and increasing their lead. AP is playing so well right now, but TL trying to find a way to shut them down. We got Fun on high ground with his teammates right below him. He's just watching from afar. This is like a scene from a war movie right now, as Fun is just putting damage in while his teammates are trying to do the rest.
Look at this Team Liquid still going to be able to just wait above on the high ground. With Fun with this G7 creating some chaos. I mean, he doesn't need another gun follow. It doesn't matter if he's got the Mozambique. It may as well be April Fool's out here because he's going to be able to rock it no matter what. He's got the G7. He's finally giving up the high ground. They got the extra covered from the crates. Wondering who's on the other side right here. Remember, Complexity took up the real estate inside that cart. I believe Stomps is still alive somewhere, so Bots in this top 3 for game number 5.
And there's 3 teams left. Complexity's 1. AP has to be the other. I'm trying to see if we can get that intel ASAP. But look at this. Newcastle versus Newcastle. Watson versus Watson. You think it's Stomps in the bots?
Yes, I believe Stomps off to the side. He's by himself, though, is the problem. So no team wants to overextend just to take care of Stomps, because then they'll be out in the open field between Complexity and Team Liquid.
Wow, 3-way finish, 3-game finish, and Watson fences galore, the taser comps for both teams. And it is Stomps, you're right, as the solo. So Len Premier did get eliminated. Stomps gonna pop a medkit, and he's gonna get tagged up, and it's gonna get the Rat's dead. All up to these last 3. It's gonna be Nocturnal pushing wide right, trying to instigate this fight. Here comes the ultimate, Fun with the flank. What an ult from Newcastle, and Fun with the Mozambique on the flank is Fun, but Sykes needs to go big. Team Liquid and Fun, a 1v1 for the bread here. Lux is gonna come through, making a 2v1, and Complexity is gonna do it. They are your champions of game number 5.
Oh, what a way for Complexity to remain composed and to hold on to that truck until the very end with Team Liquid, with the game that they absolutely needed coming in second right there.
I almost feel bad that Team Liquid didn't get the win there because of how close they've been every single game and how versatile they've been too. One of the only teams that we've seen switch comps from Stormpoint to World's Edge, picking up the Newcastle as well and really cementing themselves into that Watson style of play. They just happen to be going against their exact mirror, and Stomps initiated that fight maybe against the tempo of what Liquid wanted, but either way it was Complexity and Lux with the clutch 1v1 to take the win. So much to break down in that one, guys, and honestly it was a great finish in game 5 that set up Atlanta Premier staying on top, NRG getting more points, showing that they're lethal, other teams waking up here for a great game 6 that I think we're going to be really, really excited about, Fallout. But obviously you just saw it, you just casted it. Talk to me. Game 5, amazing finish, and that set us up for a really great finale here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just still in shock that my man Fund actively chose to hold on to the Mozambique for that late game. You'd love to see the Mozambique getting its glory finally after years of Apex Legends. He had a million options to swap that out for their gun, Vicky. He held on to that Mozam.
Yeah, he, I believe, had 5 bullets in a dream, by the way, at the very end, so he had no other choice but to use the G7 with the hip fire. So that was also really nice to see, though, because despite even having the Mozam as a secondary, his G7 shots were landing. Even some tricky rotations from some squads, like Furia, like Energy, like Tripods, moving away from the epicenter area, which allowed teams like Team Liquid to just have them in their line of sight without giving up the high ground. So a great position for Team Liquid to get situated in, but also nice to know with bots, I didn't see how much KP they ended at the very end right there, but they still were able to get 3rd place, which is great news for them because before that game, they were sitting at 17th in the overall leaderboards for today.
Notably, TSM having at least 7 kills before they went down. That is not what you want to see if you're trying to catch up on the leaderboards, because TSM already in one of those top spots and looking to push their advantage as well. But Liquid, you mentioned the switch off of Loba onto the Newcastle Watson, and it just felt so good for them, and I feel like this might be where they end the day. That's the Mozambique. He runs out of ammo, actually has enough ammo, has to reload, but he just cannot handle both of these players. You see Lux comes out from on top after Fun is already in the middle of his 2nd fight, and he just couldn't handle a 3rd. Complexity, because of that, they edge out 3 points ahead of Team Liquid, who finished with 17 points in that one. Bots, Stomps, give them credit, guys. Stayed alive to get top 3, but TSM, not a lot of placement points, but I told you they had a lot of kills, John. 8, in fact, and that'll finish them 4th overall in these points.
Yeah, that's huge for TSM. Nice job to stay relevant in the overall leaderboards. That'll put them still within 2nd place, I believe, behind the Atlanta Premier, who do a good job picking up a few more as well. Meanwhile, on the 2nd page, same story. It's going to be Cloud9. It's going to be CLG, unfortunately not showing up in a big way. We mentioned it. We saw that listed in, but Tripods were in 5th place. But given how distributed the points are right now, if they want to hold on to a top 5 finish here, I think they need a big game. So now I think they need a big game 6, but I think they will fall out of the top 10. That's how volatile these leaderboards are right now, Vicky.
Yeah, I mean, before this game alone, I believe C9 was on the very bottom of the overall leaderboards. I think they were 20th, and now they're 19th after getting at least some KP. That just leaves Sinus Please to replace them on that spot. But looking at that 2nd page, I'm surprised to see the likes of G2 and Dark Zero Esports. What about you guys?
I mean, I'm loving the close fight at the top, and I think these are the teams that should be involved. NRG, I think, has played well, but they had that one pop-off game, and they had us asking a lot of questions for a couple of those other games. I think right now, Atlanta Premier, TSM, Team Liquid, top performers in my book, and it should be that way. If any one of them wins this next game, you can almost guarantee that they will be our day one champions, John. But what do you think?
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. It's all gonna come out of Game 6, which is, again, what you love to see as a viewer, as a caster, as a fan of competitive Apex. It's not a 1 or 2 team race for first place. It's multi-teams, and ultimately, whoever can clutch up when it matters the most here in the 6th and final game will be your champions for week number 1. Will it be TSM? Will it be Atlanta Premier? Or the likes of Team Liquid or Complexity right behind them, knocking on the door right now?
Yeah, and Vicky, I want to get your reactions to this. For the first time, we're showing our top 10 kill leaderboard. Give me your thoughts on this. We've got someone who we didn't think would be at the top here. The young gunner enemy leading it all with 16.
Oof. Can we talk about the young controller player popping off on this team? I gotta highlight time and time again, because usually when you talk about the heavy fraggers, obviously Imperial How is in that conversation. But right now, it's Enemy that has been popping off. He's got 2 extra kills above How. We still got 1 game left for both of these players to pop off. But Enemy definitely has to be the highlight player here for Atlanta Premier, because this is that new pickup for this young player to really pop off with the rest of AP.
I can't imagine you disagree, John.
Yeah, 100% the truth. We've been talking about him and highlighting him, and I love the fact that he is on top of his kill leaderboards right now. Welcome to the ALGS again, Enemy, the Mexican-American young controller player. He is a complete rookie in year 3, and he is playing like a 3-year veteran, on top in kills over Imperial Hal. Fun. Some players have been doing it for a very long time. Atlanta Premier is a top team right now, and they are here to stay. A top 2 finish at the Rewired LAN Festival, by the way, I think, if I remember correctly. So they've been performing consistently, and Enemy's showing up big time.
All right, so I want to bring this highlight up again, because this is, to me, the most interesting thing, that it was going to shake out. Either Liquid were going to perform very, very well, or they were going to have some struggles. Obviously, we know that they lost Gildersons. That is a massive piece for them to lose, but look at how they have responded. To me, this shows a lot. Not just the grit and the composure and the confidence strategically to take it on, but they're also challenging themselves. Earlier, we mentioned Stormpoint. They were playing Loba. Now they're on the Newcastle, Vicky, performing. That's all they've done today.
Yeah, but the one thing that has remained consistent, at least for the squad, is the way that they play positioning-wise, whether it be with the Loba or it be with the Newcastle. I mean, look at this position alone from Fun, and it enables his weapon loadout, which is also something else that's very interesting. I like this flanking angle, but he inevitably did leave Nocturnal alone when he did decide to take that nice off angle. So Team Liquid may be looking to play a little bit more together when it comes to these endgame team fights.
Yeah, and you also saw, John, too, that was kind of the struggle of when you do end up in a situation when you have to get aggressive in that final zone, and you have the Newcastle actually separated him too far from his team, and Fun had to take basically 3 1v1s in a row after they had 3v2'd the rest of his squad. So some of the problems, I guess, with running this composition, which is very strong in other situations.
Yeah, I like the play. It looked cool. It was fun to cast. And ultimately, I think Fun did a lot of damage, but he left his teammates in a 3v2 in that fight because obviously the time it takes for the animation to come through, and he obviously ultimately ended up doing a lot of damage, but because his teammates were left in a 2v3, they got cleaned up pretty quickly. He left himself in a 2v1, ended up costing them a little bit. So it seemed good on paper. It looked cool. Didn't end up working out necessarily in their favor.
Yeah, and that's actually not a bad, I think, call. I think it was maybe the right call. It's just unfortunate that it was the perfect call to counter that, I think, coming from Complexity, just saying, let's take our numbers, let's advance into the back line, and then we'll approach slowly. And exactly, once Lux ended up being that last man coming after the fight, I think Fun had to throw down his Mozambique. Surprised he didn't throw down his Mozambique to start the fight, though. That's what I'm doing if I ever run into a Mozambique. I mean, come on now. We all play Apex. I'm throwing that baby down before I even fight. I'll go bare hands. But nah, no bare hands needed. They have been working hard, though, and you could call it a finale of epic proportions because we got 3 of the best teams only a few points away from each other. Who will take the first day of North America in our opener for year 3 of the ALGS? Vicky Kitty, Fallout. Let's find out.
Thank you so much, Rain Day. Game number 6 is here. Oh my gosh, what a kickoff for the ALGS Pro League. I mean, there's story upon story upon story. Tripods and their debut in the ALGS, currently sitting in 9th place with a chance to break top 5. Atlanta Premier on top over the likes of TSM, NRG, Complexity, and Team Liquid rounding out the top 5. Who would have thought, who would have written that story? And then, of course, C9. Not the best showing from them, sitting in the 2nd page of the standings. But hey, it all comes down to this last and final game. Let us know in the chat who you want to win. Blow it up with your favorite team. Is it TSM? Is it NRG? Is it Atlanta Premier? Are you a fan for the underdog story? Or is it the Tripods and Nick Merckx who you're looking to go big here in game number 6? Vicky, what's your prediction? Who do you think's going to take it here?
I gotta say Atlanta Premier. I am internally screaming for Atlanta Premier because they are playing so well. Like we highlighted with Enemy and his involvement with the rest of the team. It's gonna be interesting. An early fight actually going down already with Complexity, working with what they got. We talk about the Mozambique. You see the gravity lift. Nobody's gonna get blocked up though when you get sandwiched on the other side of this building. Complexity looking to see who dares contest them on this side of Fragment.
I mean, can you imagine Complexity gets taken out here? This is insane. To start game 6, Complexity is down to Luxford, the rookie, the last member of this team, and he's going to have to run away. And no, he's going to get tagged up. Complexity, after showing so much life, survives for now. Oh my gosh.
I am sitting on the edge of my seat. They're not even gonna let him run away. They have better loot. They have a better gun. G7 PK. Are they gonna let him get away over this hill? No, he's not. Complexity get taken out of this last game in this lobby.
Insane. E8 is continually pulling the rabbits out of their hat with these trick strats that are coming through, and they do it again. This time they do need it. They need the kills. They ape Complexity in Grief Complexity's game. Wow. And I'm not sure if it was E8 that we didn't see the whole fight. I'm not sure if it was E8 that did it or if it was another team that was in that fight. I saw Hackiller's name pop up. So maybe E8 just third party and joined the fight when they heard it was going on. I don't know exactly what happened there, but unfortunate if you're a Complexity fan for sure.
Level 2. Yeah, it was SZN season. Actually, that was kind of hanging out on the outskirts of Fragment East. That E8 said, "Oh, they're gonna fight. That's cool, right? Well, we're gonna go in for a third party. Great timing for them." As they do manage to get away. It looks like just in time. If you look at Sang on the other side by Overlook, E8 are now gonna be able to have all of Fragment to themselves as we get to see where the rotations of where some of these squads are gonna be coming in for this next circle.
Yeah, another northern zone, more central here as well. But that's what we've seen here. 3 games in a row. Complexity out. 18 squads remain. Season and Complexity both eliminated. E8's going to get all of the loot for Fragment East and Fragment West to their name. So it'll be a good situation for them. But again, a northern zone, well, it means a slight advantage and opportunity for teams like NRG dropping staging to get early rotations. Atlanta Premier drop, I think, if I remember correctly, was Landslide. They'll have an early rotation. They'll be well positioned. Will the zone pull north towards Epicenter, or will it stay central? We'll find out and keep you updated here as soon as we get any beacon intel.
It's going to be important to be able to get that beacon first with so many squads already in the area to the left side of Fragment. That's going to be Fragment West, already easily contested with Survey also already having some early fighting. Okay, I mean, right now, Follow, it may be the last game, but for a lot of these teams, this is the last opportunity for them to get the KP that they need to remain in contention in top 5 as Rocker already gets the knock onto Reeds.
Yeah, that's a good start for C9. At this point, C9 in 19th place with 9 points. It's unfortunate, but this is what you see in Game 9s. This is just the reality of a Battle Royale in Apex, is these teams that are way behind in the standings are going to play aggressive. They're going to play aggro. They're going to int because they need the kill points, and it can absolutely ruin the final games for a lot of these teams. But that's the reality, and that's why you have to adjust your playstyle here in Game 6s to avoid that as much as you can, as Dark Zero is nearby. We know Tripods drops nearby and is here as well. This is an interesting start here. Who's going to get themselves best positioning to survive and avoid this fight?
It's just such high action already off the rip because with Reeds going down, that's going to set things back for BR Demons, who are in the top 10 at the moment after their Game 5 performance. Now Dark Zero are playing off of the back end because they have the beacon information, noting that the circle is going to be pulling more so in this direction. Wondering now with that information though that Survey is going to be highly contested quickly by the likes of Furious, NRG, who rotate away from staging, I believe, as well. So Dark Zero are just going to take their time with this information to look at some of the squads that are going to be rotating in front of them rather than behind them in Skyhook.
Yeah, Dark Zero, again, type of situation where they want to look as big as possible with these Watson fences. And they'll do exactly that. They got a Watson fence covering their back, but easily destroyable. And that's why you don't see as much Watson. We talk about it often, but on World's Edge, because there's a lot more open terrain, it's a lot easier to destroy Watson fences. The way that buildings are architected, you can more easily destroy Watson fences. But we've seen a lot more Watson than we've seen in World's Edge past, to be fair. We typically see it more on Stormpoint, and World's Edge teams will change their team comp. But teams are stuck to their guns here. You like to see it.
I also like to see the diversity in general of different compositions that we've been able to witness across different regions too. Yeah. So with Watson still being that main key component alongside the likes of Valkyrie and Seer, you can see the different approaches that some of these teams make with the Watson, because it's not always the same carbon copy approach with the Watson too. Yes, you want to look for a bunker down opportunity, but it's even about being loud and proud about where your perimeter is set up with your Watson fences. So TSM, changing things up a little bit in terms of no Watson. They see the Watson fences lined up in front of them, but they're the ones rocking the Horizon, the Seer, the Valkyrie, prioritizing more movement, as well as that bit of that extra cherry on top with the Seer and the information that Seer provides.
Let's just be honest, I'm just glad to see Watson back in general. You know, the mama of Apex Legends. Something so wholesome about Watson. I know Horizon could arguably be the mom of Apex, but, you know, the fact that I just get inted by Horizons every game makes me feel otherwise about Horizon in games. But no, jokes aside, agreed. The diversity of Legends we've seen so far, some crypto on display, and some teams running Seerless comps, which is great to see as well. But the Seer meta certainly has stayed true here in North America. Not as much in EU, which is awesome to see. Definitely not APAC North. They're running, it seemed like they were just rolling dice to pick their team comps in APAC North. It was insane.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned that, and then we see like those two Seer ults just activated right now at the same time here, back to back on TSM. Great timing right there, but it's all about the information, all right? It's all about that information that we can see that NA likes to utilize, and you can see Reps just trying to take some shots at the same time. Wondering who is on the other side. If that's still E8, because remember, we did see them rotate from Fragment East towards Fragment West originally. If they're still in the area, where are they situated in Fragment West? Is CLG right behind them? Because I know that they wanted to rotate to the south side of Fragment East as well.
And that's just crazy. 2 ultimate accelerants and boom, Reps has his ult back. Obviously that's ult accelerants work. The Seer ultimate will be back in just a moment here for TSM, courtesy of 2 ult accels. Meanwhile, NRG over in Countdown. Sweet has no health. Could this be a griefed end to NRG's game? No. Nice job to stay alive. They're going to turtle up and they'll be able to heal back up.
It may be a brief end to Team Liquid, though. Look at that in the kill feed. Rocker getting that knock onto Nocturnal is going to be huge. Remember, Team Liquid is our top 3 squad, sitting in 3rd place overall for this final game, so they need to stay alive with 18 squads still left in this lobby. Energy are looking to quickly rotate out of here. They're going to be the squad to rotate through Skyhook, and let's not forget, the squad that likes to hold choke points is Dark Zero on the other side of Skyhook, where the circle is going to be pulling.
That's right. It was Furia in Countdown that was about to potentially grief and get the kills on NRG. And guess what? NRG rotating through Skyhook. Right around the corner is MLP. They're about to collide and they don't even know it. It's like 2 bicyclists in the night right now. And we'll see if they do end up fighting. NRG needs to be really, really cautious. The MLP here. Here comes the scan. MLP has the intel. And this is a clean 3v3 fight with Furia trailing right behind.
Got ourselves a bandit out there. See, with Fury are still kind of by the choke point of Countdown. Energy right there, right in front of that squad. Looking great in terms of loot, but they have limited LOS positioning between these buildings. TSM in a fight already themselves. I wonder if they're actually fully sending it onto E8 or if it's CLG that did make an appearance after hearing the fighting commence between TSM and E8. Looking like how, though, it's going to be able to not only help clean up this squad, E8 is now going to get involved too. Taking care of CLG Nano now. CLG in some trouble underneath the side as Please also get eliminated after taking care of Hal.
Hal is out. CLG or Sinus, please. I'm not sure which team decided to push TSM, but it's going to be all up to Reps and all up to Verhulst as the final 2 for TSM for a chance for them to show that the original reign is still supreme with TSM on top. Or will Atlanta Premier close this out? We'll see if Reps and Hal can clutch this up. Oh, sorry, Reps and Verhulst. Nice shot. Oh my god, the beam from Verhulst. Are you kidding me?
Oh, what did I say before? What did I say before? When it comes to the Bolt, one of the scariest players to deal with is Verhulst on the other side of that weapon. The beamage is insane, but notice how they don't give away this positioning even though they have the advantage, even though they have that knock. They're not just going to hold forward here just yet without having more information from Reps with the Seer. They finally obtained the banner because that's their priority. Now the next priority is to prevent this res from coming out.
And the Seer Q will certainly help with that. And you saw that's why Lifeline was in use in EMEA, as E6, Element 6 was running Lifeline for that reason, to counter Seer, so they can get the reses off pretty easily. Seer cannot cancel a Lifeline res or a Lifeline heal with her Q. But looks like they're going to let E8 get the res here. They're not going to get the kills. They're going to loot up. They get the banner for Hal. Can they get a clean mobile respawn off on Hal is the question. They're going to drop it for now, and we'll see if Hal can get back in this game. He has all the loot in the world if he can.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many death boxes. He has also his original loot that he could work with as well. Believe there was a squad originally on the high ground overlooking some of the action here without getting involved too much, but we're gonna have to see which squad it is because then they're gonna have the green light to actually contest them here.
tier Q is going to be popped. That's going to mean you can't get your res canceled, but there is a team nearby, and a good job from reps to give them as much intel as possible. Can you get a res safely is the question. Obviously, Bangle or smoke or something would be helpful here, but they have no defensive champions. Or legends, sorry. Furia now going to find themselves down Panders in this Skyhook fight. We know NRG is nearby. We know MLP with Luda and Madness is here as well, and Panders is going to go out. So Furia in 7th place, down to a team of 2 as well.
Now Furia having to play out of a disadvantage without Panders is going to be scary because that's their Valkyrie going down. That's their opportunity to rotate going down. And it's the fact that Dark Zero have not only held that spot for so long, it's 2 other squads that are also blocking their way. Energy, Pow Pow on the other side, as well as Team Smiley, who are holding onto the high ground by Epicenter that overlooked TSM. But How manages to not only come back in this fight, but he also managed to get back his own loot. You love to see it here for TSM.
Yeah, there you go. Hal is back. TSM back to full force. Furia find themselves in a fight here. NRG is here and MLP. So quite a few teams, and only 1 or 2 of them are going to make it out alive. It's going to all come down to this. And guess what? Furia as a team of 2 with their backs against their wall have to perform. Let's jump into a listen-in with Furia and decide to see how they play this.
They're definitely pushing us.
Alright, I'm in zone. I'm just going to wrap through zone a little bit. Yeah, we can just split up.
Team tunnel.
Yeah, I'm going through zone.
We just go around.
You can wrap, yeah, you can wrap all the way.
Wow, bro.
Oh my, that's my bad. I guess there's 3-2-1 by a whole different team that's on the rock side, I guess. That was so free. You got a knock, right?
Yeah, we knocked the Valk.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know if they like rezzed or...
All right, so as fast as you jump into Furia listening, things are going to slow down here. They're going to opt for a very, very long and difficult zone rotation. Furia in quite a bit of shambles. Not going to get the respawn beacon as well. So, as a result, Furia will have to play as a team of 2 the rest of the way here. Let's take a look at some other teams, though. NRG and MLP find themselves in a fight with Dark Zero nearby on the north side of the map. And here we go, on board with Nathan. This is going to be a tough rotate here for NRG with a couple teams trying to gatekeep them. But they do find themselves in zone here. The zone's going to be pulling to the northwest. And guess who's inside of it? Dark Zero and Tripods.
It was a call out from Tripods from the very beginning, by the way, because they've been hanging out underneath that bridge track area that opens up to the mouth of where Dark Zero is sitting in from the very beginning right now. So with Energy still playing on the back end of Skyhook, and you currently see Furia not only playing this as a duo, but now desperately trying to wrap around, they're going to be met up with G2, who called out the fact that they were going to rotate around this rock. So now with the circle closing in right behind Furia, it's going to be very scary as G2 is cleaning up Furia. They get taken out in the feed as Atlanta Premier are looking to yeet this grenade over the mountain. Oh, that was so scary.
Yeah, that could be crazy.
He stared at it for a second.
Saw his life flash between his eyes. What happened there? His young life, 18-year-old life. Verhulst from Kansas City here on board with TSM, sitting on top of this mountain here. Some good high ground. And guess who's right next to them? Wow. This is certainly a metaphor for the standings. Number 1 versus number 2. TSM and Atlanta Premier nearby. Will they decide to cross paths and fight each other is the question. That might be the win, the fight for the win of this competition, is TSM still in 2nd place behind AP.
See TSM also Aiden with a huge Arc Star pickoff, by the way, from BR Demons on the other side of the map. We saw that in the feed as TSM are not going to be moving to this place anytime soon because they see some of the fighting happening right in front of their eyes. They're in a good spot because they're also LOSing the squads that are going to be rotating south from Fragment West too. A lot of these teams are going to be rotating on the side as Team Liquid also avoid the damage from the Arcstar. C9 are looking to try to send it, but there's still another squad right above them too. So having to play this passive aggressively.
Yeah, Cloud9 has been griefing this entire lobby here in Game 6, being the ones that are just raining on the parade of fans of teams like Team Liquid. But nice shot by TL. They're going to survive that barrage of grenades from, I think it was C9, and they will stay alive here. 15 squads remain. Here comes the push from C9. Not sure which team this is in front of them, but we'll keep a close eye on that fight. I think it's Esports Arena with Team Liquid finding themselves in the fight. Some fights. The fights are going to break through here. It's going to be Team Rakanishu going up against Team Liquid, and TL down to just fun has a knockdown shield, or a shield, sorry, for Newcastle to keep himself alive. He's going to get taken out. Team Liquid is out.
Oh my gosh, Rack attack now struggling with their lives. Went for a quick little shield swap, noticing that it is broken, but it's the res that counts here. They attack and they also protect, as Impulse is going to be able to try to get that other res here too. But it's about the reset for this team with the circle closing in on their backs, but it's going to be quite some land to traverse with a lot of the squads already taking up the real estate over it by survey.
Impulsive Dream with a huge 1v1 against Fun right there. Obviously had the upper hand with additional health, but Team Liquid is out. That means in our top 5, we have NRG, we have TSM, we have Atlanta Premier, all alive as it comes down to this. TSM and AP are still right next to each other, and they are staring each other down the barrel right now with the zone closing in. TSM's going to have to make a move.
The Atlanta Premier, the EMP coming out right now, and they're just trying to play off the side. They called out that EMP, so it's going to be huge for them to take control of this fight.
Yeah, they also have the pylon to their name. Let's open to listen to the Atlanta Premier, see how they play it.
No, we got shot in the back by the other team, and we got pinched there. There's not much they do there.
Fuck, if I just killed them, I could have... Fuck, if I just killed them...
Oh my goodness. AP gets taken out, but TSM dies right after. That might be enough for AP to hold on. The only team that has a hope of potentially taking first now maybe would have been NRG, but I think they were so far behind. I don't know how good of a chance they have. They need a pop-off game here. This is going to be a crazy finish. At this point, it might be Atlanta Premier's game with everyone else playing for 2nd and 3rd place. But here we go. Aiden, the last alive for the BR Demons. Would love to take a look at Tripods, Dark Zero, and NRG finding themselves rotations on the high side.
Rotating away from Skyhook like we were talking about before, not really getting involved in a lot of these insane fights that lead them sandwich. BR Demons, look at Aiden, he's got only a blue evil shield and a dream, and he gets scanned off to the left side. Is that going to be G2 have been rocking the blood on for so long, I wonder? Probably taking the real estate of the house that usually the beacon's on top of, but that's also going to be in control of 2 other teams. So there's 3 squads to the left of Aiden, which he could count as blessings. That means that G2 isn't going to fully send it onto him.
So here we go. Tripods in zone. Dark Zero right above them in tunnel. And we have MLP, the former teammate of the Tripods in Luda, playing alongside Madness and Pow Pow, former Renegades nearby as well. Sweet and NRG still alive, center zone. G2 alive. So there's still quite a few teams here left. Only a few of them in the top 10 fighting for some additional placement. Keep in mind here what's at stake. Every single placement spot matters for your Pro League standings. If you get first place, you get, I believe, 12 points. Second place gets 9 points, and your Pro League standings will extend and continue throughout the entirety of Pro League, so every placement matters.
Let's see what G2's got up their sleeve right here, because this is the squad that also eliminated Furia in the middle of the rotation. They called them out perfectly on the other side of Skyhook. Now G2 are dropping off of the high ground, looking to see which of these other squads are in the other side, though. They're splitting up this push at the same time. They keep this squad trapped beneath this circle, and now Energy are going to have the green light to push into this fight.
Yeah, great job right there. Bots eliminated. BR Demons out as well. G2 playing so well with this push, doing what they can to sneak into the top 10. Meanwhile, we have the Tripods and Dark Zero still sitting on high ground. They're going to be fighting each other. NRG is out of this game. It's going to be MLP, G2, NRG, sorry, Tripods and DZ, the last 4 teams remaining.
MPL now playing off of the outskirts after NRG gets taken out. G2, Dark Zero, Tripods, though, have been able to pop off after Chaotic now gets eliminated. This is the amazing point for MPL to clean up the rest of G2. They gotta look to their left real quick to look out for the likes of Tripods and Dark Zero that have not escaped this cavern. Tripods poked for a single second, though, and now they're gonna get sandwiched on each side.
Living behind a gray knockdown shield, and they're going to be taken out. Tripods can't escape the elusive 4th place finish, or 3rd place finish, sorry, that they've been looking for. 4th place again for them. We'll see how that does for them in the overall standings. MPL now pushing up. 3 squads left, and Dark Zero is another one. Plus, it's going to be G2. Here comes the fight. MPL with high ground. They're going to take out G2. It's going to be a 3 versus 3 fight. DZ knows that they have to enter the fight now, but Luda doing such a good job keeping them at bay.
Bogey here. And look at their composition with the Loba, too. They've done it all with the Loba. MPL versus Dark Zero that have been situated inside of this cavern, but the Wingman finding the headshots. That's what we call the Wing Bro coming in clutch, of course, at the same time as Jen Burden and Sharky are looking to reset their health pool. Zero up and alive and nicely healthy here, as they're going to be able to try to go in for a head glitch by the train tracks.
I just gotta point out, it's a small play, but Luda doing such a smart job getting them in high ground to watch to make sure that Dark Zero doesn't third party an ape while his teammates finish those kills. That is massive. That's what allows MPL to hit a full reset, hit that Loba ultimate, and reset this 3v3 fight. If they win this game, it's because of that play from Luda.
And now with the black market, dude, they were hungry on loot. You see the ARC-Star getting taken out too onto MPL, trying to pinpoint where that black market is, and now they can predatorfully send it. Look at these ARC-Stars though. Papon taking a lot of damage off of that PK. He can't finish him off. He's literally one shot. Dark Zero are not going to be able to try to fully send it.
Dark Zero's gonna pop and get the Evo shield through a black market for the 1v1, and that's gonna be enough. He's gonna win the 1v. Yes, he does. Zero with the win in the end. He is so damn clutch in those moments. Goes all the way into a black market to shield swap to Evo, and that is enough with 10 HP left. Dark Zero wins it. What a game 6 for DZ as we welcome back Rain Day to break down the action.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, they traveled a long way to get to this lobby today. Some of our players just woke up. They didn't travel from Australia, though, to be here down under. And yes, it was worth it in the end. They didn't have the most blazing start, but to cap it all off with a victory for our champions of year 2, our split 2 playoff champions of year 2, and now our final game winners of day 1 of year 3, Dark Zero. Big congrats to them. And of course, that's a big story. How are they going to play throughout the rest of Pro League? We're going to keep tabs on that, but it seems like a promising start heading into day 2. However, they were not on top. No, they did not take the win, and we're not going to do the results yet until they're ready. We're going to keep the suspense going. Atlanta Premier, Liquid, NRG, TSM. The story really, and I'm going to start with you, Vicky, here, was that they didn't have great games in Game 6. No one clearly dominated in this final match.
Yeah, which is really impressive because then you look at the lights of Dark Zero really showcasing what it is to hold not only the choke point away from Skyhook, but what it is to deny the opportunity for these other squads that wanted to get ahead of the curve, deny them the opportunity for their rotation. Even Energy was kind of stuck in a pretty difficult place where they couldn't really fully send it onto some squads without getting pinged from behind by the likes of Dark Zero and Tripods as well, because they were kind of sharing that real estate with Dark Zero for a good portion of that game.
John, talk to me a little bit about what this means at the end of Game 6. Obviously, was it a better performance from some of our teams that had maybe been waiting? I looked at the bottom of the table. It's a little surprising how actually G2 and most of the teams, they actually had decent days. They were just outshone by maybe some of our top competitors, and they showed that here.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. G2, Dark Zero, MPL, I kept calling them MLP, sorry, MPL. Everyone likes to use the acronym of their player names. But all of them in the bottom 10 teams, and they all performed. They needed those games to stay relevant in the overall standings. I'm excited to see where they end up. You would have expected a more of a dramatic finish with Atlanta Premier and TSM and a 3v3 for the win. But instead, those teams both get taken out early, and I think it might have been enough for AP to hold on, but I don't know. It was close, Rain Day. I am holding my breath right now. Both of these teams are as well. Trying to see if TSM was able to get enough kill points, and that extra placement that they got, was it enough to take first place? That is the big question right now.
It is, and everyone wants to know. I'm not really going to tell you guys, but we're going to see match results because I want to keep the suspense. And here it is. You saw Dark Zero with a 20 bomb, G2 with 16, MPL with 15, but your eyes are probably scrolling down. TSM with 6. NRG with 4. Atlanta Premier not on the top 10. Vicky, is this starting to give a few things away?
Yeah, I mean, right now you could see, looking at this first page and looking at the squads that we were expecting to pop off in this Game 6, I think this is going to shake up the overall leaderboard by a lot, Rain Day.
Ooh, all right, the second page, John. I know you've been trying to tally it out here. Only 1 point for Atlanta Premier. They were leading coming into this. TSM, we know, had 6. I'm kind of feeling that maybe you know where this is going here because, of course, our final standings are about to get shown to you. I want to get your reaction right away. TSM did enough to overtake Atlanta Premier and take the day to start year 3.
Wow. Oh my goodness. This is actually insane. I mean, the fact that it was so close, Fallout, we were looking at Atlanta Premier the whole time. We saw enemy pop off, but it was TSM at the very end that still were able to outperform them.
Yeah, and Rain Day, I'm not gonna lie, man. You had, even I, with intel here on screen, additional statistics, didn't know. You had me at the edge of my seat the way you were telling that story. It was like I was being read a children's bedtime story. That was just absolutely insane. TSM overtakes Atlanta Premier and takes the dub.
I'll read you a bedtime story, John.
Suspense. Please do. Please do.
We just have to go to sleep whenever we hang out. We just have to go to sleep. That would allow us to have a bedtime story. Oh, man. Always a good time when we're in the building. You know, top 10 kills. Look at this. Enemy and Imperial Hal. John, let's start with you. We're actually going to get a little bit of a deeper conversation on this in a second. But, I mean, what can you say about these two competitors here?
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible story. I mean, take a look. Enemy, brand new rookie on the scene, 17 years old, first year competing in the ALGS, controller player for Atlanta Premier, a team that was not necessarily considered a top 3 team coming into today's competition. And then Hal, the exact opposite, the GOAT, the best player in Apex, has been dominating ever since the beginning. It's really cool to see the tell of two tales here between the two of them. Enemy with 17, Hal with 16, both of them sitting in the top 2. You love to see it, the battle of old versus new.
Yeah, Vicky, I'm sure it's a bright sight to see a bright young star rise in. Of course, that's what makes esports great. I mean, you talk about his Watson coming in, now being able to move out of his home into a brand new home, why he's probably not here today. John telling that story, but Vicky seeing that maybe again. Could that happen for Enemy here? Obviously gaining a lot of traction in day one.
Yeah, I do believe that this young legend has a huge future ahead of him, and I'm excited to see what more he's got to bring with the rest of the AP squad. Obviously, you saw right behind him by just 1 kill was Hal, but with that 1 kill, we can note that the rest of TSM, specifically probably Verholz out here, who is a frag demon with that Volt like we mentioned before, were able to match that, which is the reason why TSM was still on top. But an amazing first day performance for Enemy. He should absolutely be proud of what he's been able to accomplish today.
I've had a lot of fun watching these teams, and of course, when you look at it, a big congratulations to TSM in general for taking the day. It was not expected, and then they started in Game 2 to show us exactly what they meant to do today. They made a statement. They made a statement to the rest of the lobby. A lot of people made roster swaps. A lot of the competition did a little trash talking, and a lot of people doubted that TSM would continue to come out. Well, guess what? I'm not sure it's ever a good idea to doubt TSM. They said they've walked this path before, and it's true. Not a lot of these teams have. And that leads us to our final part of the day, where we talk about our Monster MVPs. And to make it a little special today, that's right, I said Monster Energy MVPs, because we've got 2 nominees to talk about, and 2 very, very important players, not only in the Apex Legends scene, but in today, that determine their success for their teams. In fact, they're both on the number 1 and number 2 teams for this afternoon. Of course, I'm not talking about anybody else besides Enemy and Imperial Hal. And I heard that John and Vicky, you know, you guys were going to go toe-to-toe for one player. I'm going to go toe-to-toe for another player here. So let's start rolling the tape. Let's get into the conversation, because I want to talk about my guy. I just don't know if he's coming up first here. You know who I mean. That would be Imperial Hal. So let's roll the tape. Let me get into it. I love watching Hal and the way that they play. They brought in Coach Raven, which I think was a massive part of the way TSM is able to be self-aware. That's the thing. They have been so successful. It's hard when you're on top to look at maybe a potential weakness and go, wow, what do we need to do to get better? Because we don't care about the mistakes we make along the way. We actually are only striving for greatness. So we'll take the lumps on the road down to glory. And I think that's exactly what we saw TSM showcase today. They have made changes. They have worked hard. They aren't the team that we've been talking about coming into this, but they certainly are the team that we're talking about as the day is closing. And that's why I think we've got to put it on Hal to drop 15 bombs and to go ahead and do it with taking the W and clutching up enough to take the victory over Atlanta Premier, who I think have had such a solid game today. That's why, personally, they've got my MVP vote for our Monster Energy MVP. But, Vicky, I got to know, who are you going with here?
I'm gonna have to agree with you, Rain. I gotta say it's gotta be Hal, because time and time again, when it comes to TSM and their performance so far, right? When it comes to their performance before these pro league seasons start, everyone's always wondering, is TSM on top? Where are they at? Whoa, who are you sleeping on? Because this is the only team today that also was able to get 2 wins back to back, thanks to the IGL of Imperial Hal, as well as the heavy frag potential from the rest of the squad between Rebs, Verholz, and Hal together. They were doing a really good job at making sure that they were not only side by side, but they were doing a good job at making sure that they were able to contest other squads without putting themselves in vulnerable positions, not only on Storm Point, but on World's Edge as well. So it was a really nice job to see that Imperial Hal is one of the nominees here for the MVP vote.
All right. Well, John, I know that you've been waiting for this. You've been storing it up. You've heard me and Vicky spit game on Hal, and you just had to sit patiently, buddy. I apologize for it, but now you have carte blanche. Go ahead and talk to us about your MVP, your Monster Energy MVP for today.
Oh, you got me so excited. Listen, all respect to Hal, obviously doing it as the IGL of this team, and they took home first. It'd be weird if he wasn't the MVP as the winner of the overall lobby. But for me, it is Enemy. Maybe call me a sucker for a good story, but 17 years old, brand new to the Apex Legends scene, and the fact that he's able to do it in this star-studded lobby against the likes of TSM, NRG, Team Liquid, so many top teams, he performed. And by the way, he was the kill leader, okay? So he was in first place. He was the Apex Predator of the lobby. That makes this kid deserving. Big congratulations to Alexander Enemy Rodriguez, 17 years old. A dominant day for him and the Atlanta Premier. They showed up big time. And coming into the competition, we didn't do predictions necessarily, but something tells me none of us would have had AP in our top 3. They take home a second place finish right behind TSM and on the heels of Enemy. And did I mention he's 17 years old? Rain Day. He was born in 2005. Yeah. We were slow dancing to Usher's Burn, the middle school dance, when he was born in 2005. That's just insane. This kid's 17 and is absolutely dominating every other pro in this lobby.
I might have been getting hot in here or something. There was definitely a Nelly track that was going down when I was 15 years old. So I don't know. I just got to say, Enemy, Alexander, Phillip, Imperial Hal, congratulations on your Monster Energy MVP nominees for today. Certainly well-deserved. Great performance today. And to sign us off, but then to sign us back on to a very exciting portion, we're not just going to leave you hanging. No, we're going to talk to one of the greats. And the reason I call him the greats, it's not because of Apex yet. I think he can be, but it's because of his name, because he's got one of the great names in all of broadcast and all of show business and all of really humanity. Evan, that's right. We're going to have a chance to speak with Verhulst. And there you go, Evan. What's up, buddy? Congratulations on the win today. It was just a few weeks ago. We saw you at TwitchCon with a car full of all of your brothers supporting. It's great to see you here, and congrats on a big day one. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Feels great.
So let me ask this, because I think what I have been most interested in your squad is the intention to add Raven as a coach and the impact that has had, whether it's been subtle or whether it's been really overt on some of the things like not landing in Fragment East and changing up some of the things that you've kind of held near and dear as TSM. So could you expand a little bit in terms of, how that's impacted you? Has that helped you? What has that opened up in your game? And how do you think that's really made you improve heading into year 3?
Oh man, Raven has been so helpful. Like I couldn't even explain like the things he does behind the scenes that just make us like such a better team. Like just the two new POIs that we landed at alone, like just those alone already just like show how like the good things that Raven's done for us. Like those POIs have been such a game changer for us. And we've always had pretty bad macro, I feel like, before Raven. So now with Raven, like we've been talking about our macro a lot more and like just working on our macro and like our rotations and like just our overall like team positioning, not like individual stuff, but just like the way we move around the map. And like our macro has gotten so much better with Raven, just like crazy better with Raven. That's like the biggest thing it has helped us with. He's so important to our success, I think.
Evan,
amazing. We apologize here quickly, John, just that we lost his picture. John, go ahead with the question. Yeah, just saying that we lost his picture a little bit. We still hear you. You're still around. You're back. Okay, there we go, John. Continue on.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Brenda. Verhulst, first off, congrats on the first place finish, man, and big shout out to the Verhulst fam. I got a lot of love for your brothers and the entire Verhulst family down in Kansas City. But hey, I'm gonna ask you the tough questions because that's what I do. I ask the tough questions. You went from playing, obviously, a while back. You went from playing with ESA. You guys were the best team in Pro League in Split 1. You make the big decision to join TSM. Obviously, great for your career. But then TSM was kind of like a 3rd through 7th place team. I mean, it was a little bit difficult of a transition from you. And it felt like it wasn't Verhulst fully unleashed for a little while there. And then you play with the Kansas City Pioneers, and it felt like Verhulst was back at the Rewired Festival a couple weeks ago. You were able to fly around and play aggressive. What's it like playing with TSM? What's it like playing with Hal? Do you feel a little bit confined to trying to fit into TSM's play style? And obviously now you guys took a first place finish. How have you guys kind of evolved and been able to get used to playing with each other and adjusting? What's the journey been like?
There's definitely been a crazy amount of just like ups and downs. Like there's definitely days where like we're doing poorly and I'll just be so mad. Like I just like, I don't know, I just like kind of fall apart sometimes. There's other days where, we're all just working as a team and we just like vibe together. I think recently, with the addition of Raven, our overall like vibes as a team have been so much better, and that's been so helpful for all of us individually. So I think we were a team where it's like if we start doing poorly, we'll kind of just crumble. Like we're all like our vibes just go down like crazy. Like we can't bring ourselves back up. Like we just have no positivity. I think with Raven has been super super helpful and like keeping us up. And it's like we're a lot more like we're a lot less emotional with Raven going into a tournament.
Nice.
So we kind of, I don't know. I think we're just more prepared and we know like what to expect. And yeah, I think Raven's been super, super helpful with just like us meshing together as a team and just being like more friendly to each other and whatnot. He's almost like a therapist.
Awesome.
he really does it all.
You guys didn't need a coach, you need a therapist. That's what you needed, is what you're saying.
Yeah, right.
That's a great answer, though. Good perspective.
First off, Verhost, I'm so glad to see you again. See you pop off once again, just leaving the Rewired Fest. You had so much confidence. You were looking forward to the Pro League. I got to talk to you a little bit before we were able to dive into year 3 of the Pro League. And you're looking fantastic and confident. And I feel like what you just mentioned right now is so important to pinpoint because it further highlights how important it is to have a coach. And to see your appreciation of Raven really does kind of bolden why every other team in the Pro League should also incorporate a coach into their roster. So, you know, leaving that aside, I just want to ask you, looking at the different team compositions across different regions, seeing how you guys have been a bit flip-floppy between the Fuse and the Seer, determining which one you guys want to kind of go for, is there anything different that you guys are going to pull up your sleeve, or do you want to leave that a secret for the future for the different compositions that you may utilize against other teams?
I think for now we're just gonna leave it a secret. I don't know if I want to talk about too many future comps, but just know that we are prepared to play whatever it takes. We're prepared to play the most unusual, crazy comps. We don't care what anyone says. Yeah, we are ready to play. We're ready to play whatever it takes. Doesn't matter what the comp is or what the meta.
Coming from a team running Seer, Horizon, Valkyrie. Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, that was fine.
I do have one more thing, though. I do have one more thing.
Vicky's trying to get you in trouble.
I feel like you're incredibly wholesome. I feel like you're incredibly wholesome when it comes to a lot of the crowd, though. Do you have anything to say to the naysayers against TSM when it came to the scrims and a lot of people looking at how TSM was doing?
I think a lot of people just see like they see the rage and they just see like the bad games and they just see us like getting angry at each other and they're like, oh, this team is in shambles, they're done. They have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. They don't realize that like we're not permanently just raging and angry at each other nonstop. You know, like when we're talking to each other outside of the game, we're friends. We're not hating on each other nonstop. It's not like it's some just like crazy team dynamic where we all just hate each other. It's not like that at all. I think a lot of people do like see it that way, but it's definitely not the case. And yeah, I think a lot of people just don't understand like what our relationships are like behind the scenes.
Well, they see the tip of the iceberg. They don't know that 90% of it is underneath. I think that's a great way to close it out. And thank you for the insight, Verholst. Always great to talk to another Evan. I told you, you're one of the greats. I hope to see it this year in Apex Legends. You can add to that tally. You got it in the name category already, though, brother. All right, always good to talk with you, Verholst. And congrats on today.
Thank you, guys.
All right, let's rock it back in here, guys. Fun to chat with Evan, and it's always great to see, you're right, Vicky, the wholesomeness that he brings to a conversation. You tried to get him in trouble, though. You were trying to get some, Hal would have been, what?
I just
gave up. Raven's like, oh my God, don't say it. Don't say it. You were putting him on the spot. John, I mean, this is what it's like to commentate with her all day?
Yeah, you better believe it. It's a challenge. It's an uphill battle. She puts everyone on the spot, and she's just the worst. But I'm just kidding. My favorite person in the whole wide world. So much love for Vicky. It's been a lot of fun so far, that's for sure.
Of course. Well, thank you guys so much. I mean, Vicky, final words on the day. It's been EMEA, it's been North America, but as we close the North American broadcast, want to hear from you. Last thoughts.
I'm honestly just so happy to be back on the broadcast with you guys, to see this talent pop off and remain consistent, especially with TSM staying on top, but also some teams that we weren't expecting. Atlanta Premier really put on their best for this day number 1. I hope to see the squad stay consistent throughout the rest of the season.
And, I love you, John, but they're telling me I got to go. We still homies, though, man, so I'm going to just assume that you said something nice, and we'll end it right there. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the broadcast. I love y'all, and we're going to say goodbye to our casters. What an amazing time it has been for our inaugural Year 3 of Apex Legends broadcast. From the ups and the downs, the new stars and the old rising to the top and maybe disappointing a few fans, that is esports at the end of the day. We know that that's what we're here for. It's not the win. It's not the end. It's the journey to get there. And that's what I hope you guys are really excited about. So click that follow button wherever you're watching, because this is just the beginning. From all the producers, all of the broadcast team, all of the players, and everyone behind the scenes who made this happen, we are so thankful and we are so ready for an amazing year of Apex Legends. My name is Randy. That's been Vicky, Kitty, and Fallout all day. And thank you so much for watching. Remember, never give up, never stop gaming, and we'll see you all next time.